is where the fun begins.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Sith Talk. Today we have on the show Grayson from the Mortis FM YouTube channel. How you doing, Grayson?
Dude, I'm great, man. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
No, of course. So tell us a little bit about your channel, what your channel focuses on, and where we can find you at.
Surprisingly, my channel focuses on Star Wars. Believe it or not, it's, I don't know, kind of crazy. But yeah, we've only been going for, I guess, right before Ahsoka started. So you can find us on YouTube, Mortis FM, a Star Wars podcast, and then Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And me and my best friend, who we have, our entire friendship is founded on Star Wars. We just decided, hey man, we're just going to do a podcast. Like we're just outside of recording, and through the 8 years that we've been friends or whatever, just like we're just talking about all these things. And I'm like, man, why don't we just record this? You know? So it's kind of started as like a little fun thing, but I've got to know you and a little bit of like Will, and thankfully through connections, someone I went to school with in college, Lainey, shout out to Lainey Byers. So she kind of got me to know you guys. And so, yeah, we honestly, like, we talk, I mean, everything Star Wars. We just got done, of course, wrapping up our discussion with Ahsoka, talking about that. But going into the future, since content is going to be a little sparse for a while, depending on when Skeleton Crew happens or not, I think the next thing we're going to try to do is we might start trying to do kind of like a book club, if you will, a little bit of a read along. Obviously, there's tons of Star Wars books out there, with some dope content. So I think what we might do is when we're in these little droughts of Star Wars content, where there's no shows or no movies, whatever, every other week we'll cover a couple of chapters in a book that we choose. And
nice.
That's it, man. We love Star Wars. That's our motto. So
awesome. All right, for you guys watching and listening, be sure to check them out. I'm gonna put the link to the channel down in the description. Their podcast is amazing. Like, that's why I have these guys here. So yeah, definitely go check them out. So everyone that comes on the show, I ask them 3 questions. So are you ready?
Sure. Yeah, of course.
All right. So the first one is, what is your favorite Star Wars movie?
Dude, different day, different movie for me. Like I love it all. There's, not every Star Wars movie is perfect, but for me, at the end of the day, like, I think it's got to be Empire Strikes Back. That's just my magnum opus. The filmmaking techniques, it has the greatest plot twist in movie history. Like, it was probably one of the first movies that were like, oh, the sequel is better than the original, and it's just like amazing score. Personally, that's one of my favorite lightsaber fights, is between Luke and Vader.
Oh yeah.
And it's just so good. But honestly, like, on a different mood, when I'm in a different mood, I could say Revenge of the Sith. I could say Rogue One.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit of a Solo fan personally. I like Solo.
Okay. Nice.
But honestly, man, like, I love it all, but Empire, it's got to take the cake for me.
Nice. All right. So the next one is, what's your favorite Star Wars show? It can only be one, live action or animated, but like, what's the number one show?
Dude, it's got to be Clone Wars. I mean, like, it's the reigning king. Of course, I've enjoyed most of the shows, I would say. But I mean, Clone Wars is like, it was my childhood. Like, and you just got to see it grow from, like, this show that was like every Friday night on Cartoon Network, and just like, it was just a fun romp to like some of the most heavy and cool themes in Clone Wars. And we're seeing that even today with the Ahsoka finale, like the ties to that. So, I mean, come on, we're Mortis FM. It's where Clone Wars started that all. Dave Filoni started that all. So yeah, it's got to be Clone Wars for me, man.
Yeah, Clone Wars is so amazing. Like, I got into Clone Wars late, so I was able to binge through 1 through 6. But season 7, I got to watch week to week, and those last 4 weeks were the most epic emotional month like ever, waiting from episode to episode, man.
Yeah, the hole that was in my heart when the show ended, I was like, man, like, this is just the Siege of Mandalore. Those last 4 episodes of season 7, to me, like, I kind of view that as a movie in and of itself. Like,
100%.
Like, it's just like this beautiful story, like that ties perfectly in with Revenge of the Sith. And I was like, when it ended, I was like, dude, this is like, man, 2008 ended in 2020. This is like 13 of my years of my life that have just closed. And I mean, even when they announced that they were coming back to do season 7 after we thought it was just, done, I think I want to say at this point Rebels was about to end, and they announced that Clone Wars was coming back. I think it was Rebels ended in 2018, I want to say. So I think they had one season left. And I want to say Rebels is a very high honorable mention for me. But I think Clone Wars, like, I don't think Rebels would be what it is without Clone Wars. So you got to credit the original,
Yeah. No, for sure. So, last question is, who is your favorite Star Wars character?
Dude, Kanan freaking Jarrus.
Nice.
It's just, listen, one of, I want to do a whole like video essay on this. I could, but I mean, I think he is the best, like one of the best when it comes to being a Jedi.
Yeah.
Just phenomenal character arc. He's so good, dude. He's so good.
Did you think we were going to see him in Ahsoka?
There was a little part of me that I was like, they might, but I'll be honest, I'm kind of glad they didn't.
Yeah.
And here's why. To me, Kanan is this kind of, in my eyes, he's impacted me so much just like as a person and someone, just like his balance of going through the struggles that he went through and being able, it's very similar to Obi-Wan, like overcoming that. And instead of going towards the dark, he goes towards the light. Like his love for Hera and his family is what leads him to his sacrifice. And I think that's so beautiful. But I was like, to me, he's this kind of lightning in a bottle character for me, where I was like, his beginning and his end was so perfect. That like, I don't need any more of him, Listen, I mean, would I complain if they did a live action Kanan? No, but like, to me, it's like what we get with Jason being kind of continuing on this legacy, the lightsaber that Ezra makes, even the little, like, you can barely see it, but the picture of him on the cockpit of Hera's of the Ghost, I was like, listen, he still lives on, and but listen, what I really want, though, is I want them to do some episodes with him of Tales of the Jedi in between Order 66 and that.
Oh, yeah. That would be sick, actually.
Yeah. I was actually just talking to Lainey recently. We were talking about, like, okay, what characters do we want to see in the next season of Tales of the Jedi?
Yeah.
And because I personally like loved the 6 episodes we got in season 1.
Oh my God, it's beautiful.
The Dooku episodes,
beautiful, man.
God tier, bro. That final episode, like, I was like, this is some of the best Star Wars ever. Dave Filoni, man,
hands down. So, have you read Dooku Jedi Lost yet?
I have. It's right there. Yeah.
So I've read that. I already had that, knocked out. So then watching Tales, it made that experience even better because I knew kind of Dooku's backstory from the book.
Yeah.
And then seeing it there, it's like, wow, this is beautiful.
It was so like two big pieces of the puzzle kind of coming together. Because, in Jedi Lost, you kind of see what's going on with his family and his
sister.
Bloodline.
Yeah.
But then with Tales of the Jedi, you get more of the, like, really the Jedi side of it, like the political side. And it's so good. But yeah, I was telling Lainey that I think it'd be awesome if, like, we got some Plo Koon episodes, we got some Kanan episodes. I think there's a whole lot of potential there for a next season.
There is. Like, I always wanted to see like a young Maul and Palpatine in Tales, but now after Ahsoka, it's kind of like I want Baylan and Shin to see them, or like, what if we see Baylan's master, and what if it's Plo Koon? Like, what if Plo Koon was Baylan's master and we got something like that? That would just be mind-blowing.
That's not honestly a bad idea with Baylan being Plo's master, because Plo is also one of my personal favorite. He's great. I've got a Plo's Bro t-shirt from like it's awesome, but he's one of the most, like, honorable and just humble Jedi.
Yeah.
And Baylan exhibits that a lot. Of course, he eventually leaves and goes on his own path, but I could totally, that's a good theory right there. I like that.
That'd be pretty crazy. But yeah, Tales was just awesome, man. When I saw Dooku go into the archives and erase it right away, now it's like, that's amazing. And every time I watch Attack of the Clones now, I'm gonna be like, oh, Dooku did that, like, right away.
Such a cool little tidbit. Also in Jedi Lost, we kind of get the friendship of him and Sifo Dyas, and so you kind of know what's going on with that. Like from that to Clone Wars to Tales of the Jedi, like Dooku is just phenomenal character.
Yeah.
He's one of my he's up there for me. Like there's so many good Star Wars characters, man. Like one character, like a brand new character out of nowhere will show up like Balin and Shin, right? And you're like, dude, they're just incredible. Like now I have to reorganize my list of favorite Star Wars characters, you know? So yeah, it's good stuff.
Yep. All right. So I want to get into talking more about you guys' podcast, Mortis FM, but I know you had something you wanted to talk about first.
Yeah. So got to shout out my boy Cole. I believe he will be on with you next week. So be sure to tune into that. But he is my other half on Mortis FM. So he came up with this really good idea. We can't take full credit. If anybody knows Star Wars Explained, Alex and Molly from Star Wars Explained, they do this on their Q&A. And so basically there is this Star Wars chat pack, basically, that it has 125 cards. It's officially licensed. It was written by someone named Kelly Knox, and basically it's 25 or 125 conversation cards that just open up Star Wars conversations. So we're going to start doing this on the beginning of our episodes from here on out. Until we run out, and we'll probably run out, and we'll probably just start them over again because they're kind of open-ended questions in a way. So I'm going to just grab a random one and I'm going to ask, and we're just going to talk about it for like 10 minutes, if that's cool with you.
Yeah, of course.
Sweet. Okay. I have not shuffled these at all, so I'm literally just going to grab this one. Seems like a good one right here. Oh, okay. This is more of a superficial question, but it says, Dex's Diner is famous for 666 layer cake. I don't know what that is, but all right, now I know. What Star Wars food do you want to try?
Oh, what Star Wars food do I want to try?
Yeah.
Man. Oh, man. I can't even think of like particular Star. I would need like a list.
I know that's my thing too, is I was like, I'm like, there's like the portions that Rey has, and then like, oh man,
there's like blue milk,
right?
I can't really think of even anything from like. I know, like Anakin and Padme had like fruit at that one dinner that they had that he was making a float and stuff.
That's Melu runs.
Oh, Melu runs.
That's gotta be. They be hyping up them Melu runs all the time.
They do, and they were in Mando too when or was it Book of Boba, like when they were chasing the guy and there was a bunch of Melu runs that got knocked over. So I would probably say that because that's probably one of the few like official Star Wars food or fruit that has a name that's very iconic.
For me, just for the sake of being different, I guess, because I'll let you have that one. Like I said before, I'm a big fan of Solo. I know this isn't really a food, but you do consume it. I want to know like what they're drinking on Dryden Voss's yacht. You know that, like I was just showing you before, but they've got these little cups. We got this in the Star Cruiser, by the way. But like, I mean, you've been to Galaxy's Edge. I've been to Galaxy's Edge. They've got some banger alcoholic beverages in there. So
what is it called? The Coruscant cooler there's a Coruscant something that's a drink there. It's so good.
Really? Where is it? Is it at the docking bay?
It's like that little like stand that's right around the corner from Ronto Roasters where you could order stuff. It's right in there. Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's called a Coruscant. It's a Coruscant something. I'm gonna look it up right now. Okay. It is so good.
I'm a big Oga's Cantina fan at Batu. So my favorite has always been the Jet Juice.
Nice.
It's a pretty strong one. But it definitely feels like something that has like a lot of like kick to it, and it just feels like a really good Star Wars libation, if you will. But I guess you can go to Galaxy's Edge and just try food there.
No, exactly. Yeah, it's called the Coruscant Cooler. Definitely check it out, man. It's got bourbon in it. It's pretty strong.
Really?
It's a good drink. It tastes good, man.
All right. Well, next time I go, I'll be trying out a Coruscant Cooler. Until then, come on, guys. Why do you not have Melu runs at Galaxy's
I
Edge.
know,
What are you doing,
bro.
bro?
Yeah.
Artificially makes a brand new fruit. But yeah, so that's a little tease on what we're going to be doing on Mortis FM. Just to start off each episode, won't be a
Yeah.
full episode discussion because, like I said, it was
Yeah.
like a 5-minute question. But I've looked through a couple of them, and there's some like really like heavy hitting questions on there. So just depends on the day. So if you guys want more random discussions like that, hop on over.
Nice. Awesome. So that's a great idea. That's fun. Like for sure.
Yeah.
That's a cool thing to do. So let's talk more about Mortis FM. So like
Yep.
I know you and your buddy started it. Like what are your plans with it like in the future? Like are you guys gonna keep this going for a while or what are you guys thinking?
We're gonna keep it going as long as we're having fun with it, you know?
Oh yeah.
So for some context, Cole and I have been best friends for a long time.
Mhm.
He's been one of my longest running friends, and so Star Wars had always been kind of the genesis of our friendship. So a few years ago, we had a podcast that we ran with a couple of friends, and unfortunately, just that one, it kind of dissolved after some time. People moved on with their lives, whatever. So, but Cole and I were kind of the resident Star Wars people in that podcast, and so I just got to this point where I'm like, man, like I miss just talking into a microphone about Star Wars, you know, like,
Yep.
and I know there's a lot of people out there, right, that do Star Wars content, but like it's fun for us, you know. Star Wars is literally my favorite thing ever. So I'm like, man, I want to do that. And for some background, I'm also into media. And so I love content creation, right? So so it kind of scratches that itch for me, you know, of like being able to talk about my favorite thing and also kind of feel some satisfaction while doing it.
Yeah.
So currently, I mean, right now we are strictly audio only. We upload on our episodes on YouTube, and then also every week on Spotify and Apple, unless some weird stuff happens with our schedules. But yeah, like I said, we've been covering Ahsoka, which is kind of the hot thing, and now that Ahsoka has died off, we have a whole list of questions that we or discussions, topics that we plan on talking about. But yeah, man, we're gonna keep this train going as long as I can, and it's brought me some really cool connections. And I just want to shout out you. Thank you for being super supportive. You and all of your circle of friends have just been very supportive of us and Cole, us wee lads in the Star Wars community. but yeah, like you said, it's like we're Star Wars fans. We got to stick together. So
Yeah.
So I appreciate it. Cole appreciates it for sure. But we're gonna keep it going, man.
No, that's awesome. And it's so funny because when you guys first made your first episode, Lainey is the one that hit us up. Like we have a little group chat, and she was like, check out my buddies. They started a Star Wars podcast. So literally listen to the first episode. And like as soon as I finished, I'm like, I'm bringing both these dudes on Sith Talk like right away. Cause it's like such an authentic thing. Like you could tell these are two real dudes that love talking about Star Wars. Like it just felt so natural.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, and then Will at Diamond Figs kind of said the same because I shared it on my story, and he was like, "Who are these dudes?" He checked it out, and he was like, "Yo, those guys are awesome! Like they're really really cool. I want to bring them on." So yeah, man, it's great, man. Like, and I kind of like that it's not video. I mean, if you go video, that's great too, right? But since it's not video, every time I listen, I'll put it on my big TV in the living room, and I literally just be productive doing stuff that I should be doing while listening. So that's kind of awesome because there's not a lot of podcasts like that are just audio.
Yeah, it's. I mean, obviously, you know, it's a little bit easier to just manage audio, and so I take a lot of pride in making sure our quality on our episodes is really good. But yeah, dude, thank you so much. That means a ton. That's the goal. We try to be as authentic as we can. We try not to gatekeep anyone from their opinions on Star Wars. God knows I have my opinions about Star Wars, but like at the end of the day, like Star Wars fans are Star Wars fans, and I just love talking about it, and I love hearing other people's opinions and stuff on it. So the more positivity we can spread, the better.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm kind of the same way too. Like I love being positive, but then I have my own opinions and own takes on certain things. But like I'm definitely respectful of everyone, whether they like it or not. And like that's kind of one of the reasons I love going to Star Wars Celebration is because that is like literally it's like a safe haven. No matter what you like, you could like the worst stuff, you could like the best stuff, but everybody's respectful.
It's 100% positivity at Star Wars
Yeah.
Celebration. Like it's just I'm very jealous. Cole and I are very jealous of you because you've been to more celebrations than we have. We have only, unfortunately, been to Orlando back in 2017, and man, that was the first time Cole and I actually met each other in person.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So him and I, we live about 5 hours away from each other, but we had met on Xbox, and if anybody wants the full story, go to our first episode. But basically, I mentioned Saw Gerrera was being played by
I
Forrest
remember
Whitaker.
this. Yeah.
Yeah. And he was like, "Bro, you like Star Wars?" And then that was just basically the launch off, right? Like we played Battlefront 2015. We watched. He came to visit me to watch The Last Jedi for the first time together. That's a whole other story as well.
Well, what a trip.
Yeah. So that was. But I mean, hey, like Star Wars, it's in our blood, quite literally. So, Star Wars Celebration, like we view from the lens of our phones and our desktops because they've got the live stream going on. But you're completely right. Like it's just when we went there, like genuinely one of the happiest moments of my life was going to Star Wars Celebration. Like just everyone is just so positive, so loving. Of course, you get to meet literally like some of your lifelong heroes in that regard. The cosplays, dude,
crazy,
freaking incredible. I mean, the moment that it hit me like a truck is when I was walking down an aisle and I saw a guy in Starkiller's Sith Stalker armor, and smoke was coming out of his mask, bro. I was like, that is insane. Yeah. And so I just like we loved it. And so like the depression that I felt after Celebration ended, bro, like and I'm sure you feel this every year.
So my first celebration was the same one that you guys went to, Orlando 2017, and I didn't know what Celebration was. I lived in Orlando, so I was just driving down. I drive and I saw the signs and I'm like, what the hell is Celebration? So me and my buddy Ricky at Pop the Bounty Collector, we bought tickets for Thursday, Friday, and we went because we figured 2 days is enough. We don't need to go all 4 days. Boy, was I wrong, because that Saturday and Sunday being at home, I missed it so much. And that was only my first time ever going. So since then, we have not missed like at all. So I did Orlando, then I did Chicago, then Anaheim, then we did London, and we're saving and planning now for Japan in 2025.
Yeah.
So when you went to Orlando, you guys did all 4 days?
We did. That was
so cool.
I'm a little bit of a youngin'. I'm 24. So when we went to Celebration, oh God, I was 17. So that was my senior trip, actually, was graduating. So I was like, I'm not going to the beach for spring break. I'm going to Star Wars Celebration, bro. And so we went there. It was me and Cole and one of my other friends at the time, and my dad. My dad is literally like, listen, I know a lot about Star Wars. My dad knows just as much as me. Like it's insane.
Nice.
So I mean, we, like we said, like when we drove away, we were there for all 4 days. It was just day in, day out Star Wars, and it was incredible. But yeah, I did not get to go to Chicago. We were going to try so badly to go to Chicago, and it just did not work out because I had school. It was in like, their dates are kind of weird sometimes. Like there's like you'll have like like as early as like a March or an April, and then you'll have something as late as like August, right? So it just really depends on what they need to do for planning. But I was supposed to go in 2020 for my 21st birthday. It was going to be on my birthday. And we bought the tickets like a year in advance. We were ready to go. I was stoked. We were going to make it a big trip because it was in Anaheim. And so what we were going to do is we were going to do Celebration, and then we were going to stay a few extra days to go to Disneyland for Galaxy's Edge. Right? Because I had not been at that time. And of course, then COVID happened and the news hit that we were like, they weren't even skipping this year. They were skipping 2021 and waiting all the way till 2022.
I know, bro. That was brutal wait.
Yeah. And I was like, dude, like I can't gamble. Like I had the tickets and they were like, yeah, like you can keep your tickets or you can get them for a refund. And I was like, I don't know.
The refund?
Yeah, I was like, I don't know where I'll be at, and yeah, so I was working at Disney, like I told you right before. Cole and I, we worked for Disney for a year, and so I was in between my lunch breaks, I was watching Hayden and Ewan McGregor on stage, like talking about Kenobi, and I was like, dude, I want to go back so bad. So maybe Japan.
So Anaheim, bro. I met my boy Ty before we went, and we all got Jedi VIP passes last minute.
Nice.
Which was insane. So
does that let you like go to all the panels basically?
Literally, yes. So my 4-day pass for Anaheim, I entered for every panel and lost. So if I wouldn't have got the VIP from Ty, I would have missed out on some of the most amazing experiences in my life. So the Lucasfilm Showcase panel, when we went in for that, so it started off with a live band came out playing Duel of the Fates live, which is like my favorite song. So already I was like, oh my God. And then at the end of Duel of the Fates, Hayden and Ewan walk on stage and they invite us to come back to the world premiere of Kenobi that night, which that was crazy in itself right there. But then later on, the stage just flips up, rotates, and John Williams is there with his band on his birthday, and he does the Obi-Wan Kenobi song world premiere, us hearing it first. And then in the middle of that song, Harrison Ford just strolls out to wish him a happy birthday. I was like, is this real?
It's like, this is not real life, dude. Like that is like what a collaboration, just a center point of like literally the biggest people in dude.
Yeah.
I would have the high I would have been on would have just been like insane. That's crazy.
Bro, so after that, like when we got out, I'm like, Ty, thank you so much. Because if I wouldn't have got that, I would have missed that. And then like knowing that I missed that and me being there, it would have like broke my heart.
Yeah, dude.
Because like that was insane. And then we came back that night for the red carpet Kenobi, and we got there crazy early. We were front row. So we were sitting in the front and looking at the stage like 5 feet away. And then Ewan McGregor came out, Deborah Chow came out. They talked about it. We watched the 2 episodes. And then at the end, the entire cast came out on stage. Even little Leia, they were all there, right there in front of us.
That's watched crazy. Even the Leia actress was there too.
Because that little Leia, she was so cute, adorable.
That was a twist because we didn't know anything about that. They kept like, I remember Cole and I, we stayed up that night. I guess it would have come out at 3 a.m.
They pushed it up to midnight.
That's right. Thank God, because I had an early shift that next morning. So we watched both the episodes. Yeah, the Leia thing was not. They didn't say anything about that. They were like, we were all wondering, like, yo, why is Obi-Wan going to leave the planet? Like, what's going on? So they had that prepped and ready to go from the. That's awesome, man.
Yeah, it was such an amazing experience, man. So like, I cannot wait for Japan. London was great for sure. And the thing with London, when I went, I was so curious, like, is this gonna feel like Celebration? Because we're in Europe, like, how are all these European, and it was really a worldwide event, and like I wondered how it would be since I've been to 3 US celebrations. Bro, literally the same exact thing. It was the same exact thing. Yeah, it felt the same, even though some people couldn't even speak English or this and that. It was the same thing. And funny enough, I saw a lot of the same people I would see at US celebrations. I saw over there, which was crazy. So Japan is going to be crazy interesting because that's even more of a language barrier. Because at least in England they speak English. In Japan they don't speak English. So that one I'm interested in.
That's kind of the thing that I'm like hesitant on right now with Japan. Is it's like I've never been to Japan.
Me neither, I've never
been. So I'm like. There's part of me that I'm like, dude, I want to get like, you want to go to Celebration, but then also it's like going to Celebration and then leaving. It's like, dude, I'm in Japan right now.
No,
like,
of course. Yeah.
So it's like in my head, and I'm like, it's not just a 4-day trip. That's like a 2-week-long trip, right? So I'm like, I want to do Celebration, and then I want to take a day to rest, and then I want to go see like so. And that is a big investment right there, is on hotel expenses and flights and everything. So. But if I can try to do it, I'm gonna do it, man.
Bro,
I'm desperate.
I've been researching like crazy, and it's not expensive as most people think, which is kind of nuts. So I'm planning on doing 11 days, 11, 12 days out there. And I'm going to
Okay.
do all my Japan, Tokyo stuff before,
Mhm.
then the 3 days of celebration. Then I'm going to come home. Because when
Okay.
celebration's done, my money will be done for sure.
Are you
But
staying with any of your friends, like at a hotel, like you guys
s-
kind of pitching in?
So no, because like with a trip that big, I don't know if people are going to be for sure going to go, or if they're going to back out, or people might go at different times. Like
True.
my buddy Ty, he's doing 3 weeks, which like
Okay.
that's awesome. But bro, I can't do that. I can't go for 3 weeks. And and then my buddy Ricky, I think he's doing similar to me, 12 days. So I think I
Okay.
might be at the around 11 days, and it's going to be me and my brother going out there.
Okay.
So me and him are going to get a hotel, and I'm planning on doing 2 different hotels, one in the heart of Tokyo for like 5, 6 nights, and then one right next to the convention center for 4 nights, the last 4 nights.
Gotcha.
So literally, I think the total cost for the hotels for like 9, 10 nights was like under 1,000, bro.
Really?
Yeah,
That's like that's
yeah,
$100. Wow.
yeah.
All right.
So there is, yeah.
Hmm.
I've been so ever since Japan got announced at London, I've been researching since then. So
Yeah.
like I'm always checking hotels. It's not bad. The only thing that's pricey and like there's no way to get that cheap is the flight. So I'll be flying there from Florida. It's gonna be like 1,600. Like
I'm
there's no
surprised
there's no way.
it flies straight to Japan from
Oh
Florida.
oh heck no, bro.
Oh, you got to go
It's
to New York, right?
it stops like I think it's like Chicago or somewhere up in the Northeast.
Oh, you got to
There's
go.
one stop and then it goes direct, and then it's like 18 hours total of traveling, which is
Yeah.
insane. But like, yeah, that's the most expensive cost. Everything else is reasonable, bro. I'm
Yeah.
planning on doing both Disney parks over there,
Okay.
bro.
Oh, nice.
Ticket to get into Disney Japan, $73.
No way.
Bro, everything over there is reasonable. So like it's 73 bucks.
That's
Universal, I think,
crazy.
is 67.
Wow. Yeah,
Yeah.
bro. I'm
Yeah.
punching the
So
air with our like $200 Disney tickets over here in
I
America.
know it's wild. So like literally I'll be dropping videos and stuff when like hotels you could book, when you could book
Oh
your
yeah.
flights. So I'll keep you updated for sure. But
Absolutely, man.
I think this March, mid-March, is when you can start buying your flights. And
Okay.
literally, the minute it's available, I'm booking my plane ticket just because that's the biggest expense. Get that out of the way.
Yeah.
But it's not as bad. The thing that's going to cost a lot though is if you don't have self-control buying stuff, because there's going to be so much
Yeah.
cool shops. Like I'm going to go to the Nintendo store in Japan, the Pokemon Center.
Oh
I'm
yeah.
going to go nuts. I found a vintage Star Wars toy store over there that looks crazy.
Really? Oh.
Yeah, that's gonna be my first stop because that one scares me the most. So I want to go there first and
Yeah.
knock it out.
That's
But
not even including what's all in the convention center.
oh no,
Like,
yes,
yeah.
celebration has to be a separate budget because like
Yeah.
I'm big on collecting the pins, so I got to get
Mm,
the whole pin set for
that's
Tokyo.
that's so funny you mentioned that because right here, I guess that kind of comes into play. Sorry if the clanging. This is my dad's pride and joy. He loved the pin collecting at
Yeah.
Celebration. So I've got right here. I don't know if you'll be able to see it that well on
Oh,
camera,
the
but I've got
lanyard. Oh,
but I've got all of the, and they're not all from them, but I mean you've got Finn, you've got Kylo, you got Han, you got like
dude.
I think he has Thrawn, if I'm not mistaken. No, you know what? He doesn't have Thrawn because he traded Thrawn for a Death Trooper.
Mm,
We roasted
damn.
him for that, but we do have what was it? There was like the Death Trooper is still pretty sick though. I won't lie. Come on now, like look at this little guy.
Yeah, those
But
pins, bro, it's such an addiction. So Orlando, I didn't really get. I got like one pin. It was the free pin from Funko, the Kylo Ren. So I have that
mhm.
one. Chicago, I started to get into it more. Anaheim, we went nuts. We got a bunch. But London, me and my boy Ricky completed the full London set.
Nice.
So we spent a ridiculous amount because it's about 50 or 60 pins and like $10 a pin. It's kind of ridiculous, but we knew we wanted to do this. We saved, we planned for it. That's pretty much the only stuff that we bought at the show was the
Yeah.
pins.
Okay.
And it was a mission because like there's certain pins you could get only in the celebration store. There's certain
Yes.
pins only in the mystery boxes. there were 8 pins on the vendor floor at different booths. So each day we strategically planned out, okay, we're going to run to these 2 booths today. The next day we ran to the other 2 booths because as soon as it opens, bro, everyone's running to get those pins.
Yeah, I remember. I think he had to go to like there was like several exclusive ones, and I think the one he had to give up one of his exclusives to get the Death Trooper, which was another exclusive.
Yeah.
Because that was like the year after Rogue One, so they had a couple of Rogue One exclusives, but also I think that was the year after. What year did that Thrawn would have already have come back? Season 3 already would have happened for Rebels. But
I think so. Yeah.
But I remember, I think we talked about this. There was at the Funko booth, there was the limited edition Thrawn, and then the Funko of him, and then there was the hooded
Luke.
Yeah, and this is kind of a funny thing, but you remember how they have the celebration stage that'll bring different toy vendors and stuff on there.
Yeah.
The Funko toy group actually came up on stage, and we were front and center, and they gave out the ones that were on stage. And my friend, they basically threw them out, and they're not Pop Funkos. It's like one of the other Pop toy lines that they have.
Okay, yeah. Like, the Wacky Wobblers probably
it was like Wobblers.
They did a white Boba Fett, I think, that year.
So no, what he has is it's like Greedo and IG-88 or something. It's like a bounty hunter. Like I don't even. I had to get out of the Pop Funko game, man. Like it is so much money. Like I used to collect them like crazy, and now it's like I don't have the space for them. But he has that still sitting on his shelf, and much like you, he has a full Darth Maul shrine. I mean, like it's just so. So he's got the old school kind of crazy looking spiraled eye Darth Maul.
Funko,
you know that one?
The first one, the blue box.
But then he got the season 3 Maul where he has like the Inquisitor saber, I believe. And that he was like, this one's so much better. So collecting stuff is fun, man, but you got to have a lot of self-control, otherwise you'll go crazy.
I know, and that's so crazy because I remember the Funko booth. Since that was our first celebration, we didn't know how it worked. Like you were supposed to enter a raffle beforehand to get into Funko. We didn't know that. So the 2 days we went, we got there at 8 o'clock, and as soon as it opened at 10, we ran to the Funko booth. We camped out there until 2, because after 2 is when they let everybody in. We did that both days, and we got pretty much everything but Thrawn and Luke.
Yep, those were the hot ones.
Both days, Thrawn and Luke sold out. So luckily, excuse me, at the time, my friend's ex got us both the Lukes because they were shared with like Think Geek and GameStop at the time. So we got them. And then when I came back home, I went to Toys R Us in Clearwater before they closed down. Rest in peace. But Thrawn was shared with Toys R Us. So I found Thrawn at Toys R Us. So I have like that complete 2017 set. I love those.
I bet you're happy to have that Thrawn now.
Bro, he goes for like 400, 500, 600. It's ridiculous.
That is insane,
bro. Yeah, he skyrocketed in the middle of Mando season 2 just from Ahsoka saying his name. He went from being like 150. Like for real, he was worth like 100, 150. After that episode, 300 plus. And since Ahsoka's came out, 500, 600. It's ridiculous.
This is kind of a fun question. You may have answered this before, but I'm genuinely curious. What do you think? What piece in your collection? Because I know you've got a lot. What do you think is the one that has increased in value the most? Like, what is the most expensive thing that you have that, like, if you were to go and sell it right now, what do you think it would be?
Probably my Obi-Wan Kenobi, the holographic Funko from Anaheim Celebration.
Okay.
I think it's around like 700 or 800 right now, something like that.
Crazy.
So the story for that is, man, I love this story. So it never gets old telling this. So
indulge me.
We were at Anaheim Celebration, and we were doing the VIP night early shopping. The day before it started, you got to go into the Celebration store. So we walked in, and there was like a little like kiosk in the middle, like a little stand. And I'm looking, and I'm like, is that what I think it is? I run over at full speed. I grab it, and it's that holographic Obi-Wan Kenobi Funko Pop for $20 retail. There's only 3,000 of them made, and literally the week before I went to Celebration. I was looking at them on eBay. They were all $1,000. And I was like, man, I'm never going to own this pop. I want it so bad to complete my set, but I'm never going to get it because I'm not going to pay $1,000. And that night we got it for $20. I had a heart attack, bro. Like I grabbed it and I literally just wanted to go home, like leave. Like that made the whole trip.
Back off.
That's yeah, so funny, it was crazy. So they originally released it online in 2020 since COVID happened, and then they just released all the merch online. So you had to enter a raffle online to win to be able to buy it. So out of the 3,000, I guess they only did 2,500, and they saved 500 for the show, and they put them out. They put 250 roughly out each day, the pre-night and the first day, and everybody went nuts for them. Nuts.
That's so crazy.
It has to be that Obi-Wan Kenobi, man, just because of that story. And like it does have crazy value, but like I'm never getting rid of that thing, man.
Oh no, never. That's where people are like, oh, you got to get it because it could be worth money one day. And it's like, the funny thing is, I'm never getting rid of it. So
exactly,
I'll be dead until it's in somebody else's hands.
Yeah.
That's so funny, man. I love that.
So crazy getting that. But yeah, man, it'd be cool if you were to go to Japan too. There's a lot of people that are planning on going. So it's gonna be crazy out there, man.
Listen, if you know, if Mortis FM continues to grow, then it's something that I definitely would like to really try to jump on, and we've got time to prepare. So
yeah,
we'll see.
Yep, for sure. All right, so next up, let's talk Ahsoka.
Let's do it, man.
What did you think overall of Ahsoka? Did it meet your expectations? Did you enjoy it?
I loved it personally. I would say I think the expectations that I had were that it was going to be just kind of a one self-contained season. So I did have the expectations that we were going to get a little more with a little bit more going on with kind of the Ahsoka, Baylan, and Shin side of things, especially Baylan. But I was wrong. And I'm okay with being wrong if that means we're going to get more down the line.
Hopefully,
I hope so. I know. Here's the thing. Lucasfilm has a track record, and I know people are a little hesitant. Like, it is notorious that like they announce projects and then they just never happen. Yeah, like from like Ryan Johnson's trilogy to the Benioff and Weiss movies to whatever's going on with this Taika Waititi thing. The Lando thing is a show and now it's a movie, and we've got the strikes happening and all of this stuff. And it's like, listen, man, I just have no idea. But Dave Filoni is kind of the guy. He is the main man right now. You know? And so I am excited in whatever capacity they continue. I'm more intrigued by that side of the story than anything really is. I mean, I'm stoked for the Thrawn kind of conflict that's going to happen. But me personally, I'm like, dude, what's going on in Peridia? What's
me
Baylan
too. Oh, I just want more Peridia, bro, so bad.
It's just when that little, that shot of the Mortis gods, I was like, let's go. Like, I was just so happy because like at first I was like, oh, okay, Peridia is, it's the homeworld to the Night Sisters,
the
Dathmiri, and this. I was like, okay, cool. And we got a little bit. Apparently, people deciphered some of the text, and then Zepho, and I was like, okay, that's pretty cool. But now I'm like, man, this is like this ancient hub world of ancient Force religions, both good and bad, and I'm like, that really excites me. The only thing that I just I'm really bummed about is the passing of Ray Stevenson means we won't get him being able to continue that character.
I know.
I trust that they will cast the right person. I'm begging them, please do not change his character arc because of Ray's passing. The character is so good, and personally, like I see from the interviews, Ray was super passionate about this character. And I don't have the room to say this, but I would like to think that he probably would want the character to continue on beyond his passing. So whether that means Ahsoka, that they continue it in an animation and it's somebody voice acting him, or they just recast the character entirely, I don't know. That was the one thing I was missing out on, but I'm glad that we are hopefully going to get more. But other than that, man, like Ahsoka felt like it took the coolest and weirdest and wackiest concepts of Star Wars, the really grand high fantasy stuff, because people think they're like, oh, Star Wars is science fiction. No, it's space fantasy, man. It's wizards who have light swords and can push things with their magic, and like it's not based in reality at all. That's for your Star Trek and your Mass Effect and all of that stuff. Star Wars, it's like it's fantasy with a sci-fi skin on it, you know. And so Ahsoka did that stuff beautifully, in my opinion. Like it's got a ton of just, dude, killer lightsaber fights. Personally, I just so good, like especially like that fight between Ahsoka and Baylan in episode 4.
That first one, in the
so
dome thing,
yes, genuinely one of my favorite lightsaber fights. It's just what I love about Filoni's direction with lightsaber fights, and you can feel that in the Clone Wars and in Siege of Mandalore, and now here into Ahsoka and also Rebels, is that he's really able to kind of bring in every character has their own specific style. So like, for example, the fight between Anakin and Ahsoka in the following episode, Anakin is still spinning around, like he's fighting fast and ferocious, just like in the prequels. But like Baylan, he fights like this, like he's got a giant broadsword. He's heavy hits. Every attack just decimates Ahsoka's defenses, you know? And so she's like, she can't keep up, right? Like Baylan is so strong. And so what I love about these fights is that they really are like embracing kind of, I think, the beauty of, you know, what we see in the OG of like, they're really trying to kill each other. And also like being able to be like, hey, this person has a very distinct style, but like they're able to kind of blend in. Like we've got our fast lightsaber users like Anakin and Obi-Wan, but we're able to like, and Ahsoka, but then like we're able to kind of bring in like more of that original trilogy and even sequel trilogy fighting with the big heavy attacks. And it's like, people forget lightsabers do, like Kanan said, they do have weight to them. It is you have to fight the blade. I mean, we see Din even with the dark saber, he's
struggles, man.
So people think that they're like, oh, why aren't they just moving super fast? And it's like, I think we're going to see that in the Acolyte with the High Republic. I think they're going to be moving with some speed.
Yeah,
because that's the Jedi in their prime, right? They're really in tune with the Force. But this is a different time, you know. We get a lot of these Boken Jedi and stuff. But anyway, that was my whole rant. I loved Ahsoka. It's not perfect, but I really enjoyed it.
Dude, I enjoyed it so much, and like I was very happy and satisfied. I had high expectations, and of course I was worried because how often have they had alley-oops and fumbled the bag so many times? Kenobi, Book of Boba, like stuff that should have been top tier, and it necessarily wasn't. But with Ahsoka, I loved all the lore building stuff Dave did. He did so much good lore stuff. Like you just mentioned, Boken Jedi. That's a new term. And like, technically, that's Luke. That's Ezra. That's Cal. Like, that's like a bunch of people. So that's a whole new thing in itself. And going to a new galaxy is crazy.
So cool.
And like, the Night Sisters are from there. The Zepho tie-ins, the Mortis, like, what is this planet? Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, I'm a massive sucker for like ancient civilizations in Star Wars. Like I love Knights of the Old Republic. I'm a big fan of that game, and that really dives into like the ancient star maps and ancient weapons and just really cool, wacky stuff with the Force. Like, you know, you get Korriban, and it's like the ancient Sith tombs. Like, I eat that stuff up, man, because it just feels so mythical and fantastical, but it fits in with Star Wars so well. And that's, like you said, I love that with Ahsoka, of just getting these like these massive lore drops of like Peridia looks like something straight out of a Tolkien novel, right? Like these big evil looking towers and giant statues and rocky landscapes. And it's so dope, dude. I just love it.
Yeah, and like how you just mentioned star maps, like technically, wasn't it the Rakatan that made the star maps?
Yep.
Like, so it's like he's just tying so much in, making his own lore. It was just great. And like we all knew Hayden was gonna be in it, right? It was like his voice was in the trailer, and I thought that was kind of bold and like you got big balls to do that in the trailer. But then I'm like, bro, there has to be a crazy amount of Hayden where they don't even care that we know he's coming.
Yeah.
And at the end of episode 4, I did not expect that because all the leaks and rumors and speculation was 5, 6, or was like 5, 7, and 8 is what everyone has been saying. And like at the end of episode 4, when I saw him, bro, I just so emotional. I couldn't even finish my reaction video. I just was like in the moment, so shocked and so happy. And he said snips. Like,
yeah, man.
Oh my God. So
yeah, Hayden, they just dropped, like, I'm sure you saw, they dropped that new video of kind of an
today,
interview with him. Yeah, dude. And I was like, I just sent it to Cole and I was like, I love this man so much. Like, I'm
yep.
so glad he's gotten the respect he deserves. And he just did, like, thanks to Dave's direction and just how Hayden has really embraced this character and done his research in Clone Wars. He really emulates, like, I think you and Lainey said this a few weeks ago, like, he beautifully emulates like what we see him in the prequels and then what Matt Lanter does in the Clone Wars. Like, he just feels so much like Anakin, and he's really embraced this character. And even the little tidbits we got of him in Kenobi were phenomenal. And I'm like, dude, Hayden gang staying on top, man. Like, he's just the GOAT.
He is, man. And I've met him twice.
That's
awesome. And like it's super pricey, but it's worth it. But now
Yeah.
it's like every show that he's at, if I can go, I'm going. I'm taking every opportunity to meet this man because like it's crazy. Lainey even mentioned it.
Yeah.
We both got pictures with him at MegaCon here in Orlando this year. And at that time, he already had finished recording all his Ahsoka stuff. So it's like, wow, like
you didn't even know it.
We didn't even know it. So now it's like next time I see him, I gotta thank him, bro. Like that might have been his best performance as Anakin ever, is what we got in the Ahsoka show, which is wild.
It makes me really happy, like, just seeing him, get just so much love and respect. For like a little bit of context, like, I feel like in all of my favorite fandoms and characters, there's always one actor that has just gotten like the short end of the stick so many times. And for Star Wars, that was Hayden. And I feel like he's gotten his, redemption isn't the right word. He's gotten the love that he deserves. Right. But like, I'm a big Spider-Man fan. Right. And like when Andrew Garfield came back in No Way Home, I was like, I told you guys, he was not the problem. All right. Like, I love Andrew Garfield. Another one is I'm a huge Superman fan, and Henry Cavill, like, I'm a big Henry Cavill fan. And just like, that's the one that kind of got away, like he didn't, and people love him, right? Like, people, but like, he just never got that justice that he deserves, Superman. So maybe he's the last one to maybe someday, but I'm just glad that at least Hayden, we got him in Kenobi, and we've got him in the Ahsoka. And I just, that one clip that circulates really often, and I think you might have been there, honestly, was when he's up on the celebration stage and he's like, crying, "You guys are making me emotional."
And Anaheim, bro. Yep, Anaheim, bro. It's that's why I love Celebration too. To see moments like that. Oh my God, that was at Anaheim, and he had a similar one at London too. But that original clip was from Anaheim.
Man,
yeah.
I love Star Wars, but nothing like I am continually just disappointed and frustrated with how Star Wars fans treat people in the Star Wars community, especially actors. Despite what your opinions are, no person should be treated like that. Not Ahmed Best, not Hayden Christensen, not Jake Lloyd, not Kelly Marie Tran. The list goes on and on and on. It happens way too often. I'm sick of it. Do not can we just stop? Can we just stop doing that? Because it's like, it's taken years for Hayden Christensen to finally like feel that love from the fans. Like,
too long.
Star Wars fans ruined Jake Lloyd's life.
I know, man.
Like, and I'm so like Ahmed Best. He's gotten the love that he finally deserves. Like, bro, like, say what you about Man in Season 3. It was a little underwhelming for me, but like when he showed up and man, I was like, come on, man.
I was hyped, bro.
So cool.
I yelled Jar Jar so loud, bro.
Dude,
oh my God.
I was like, let's freaking go, dude. And he's just like so clean with the lightsaber moves. Keller and Beck, man.
Yes.
The sabered hand. What? Just I love it. But yeah. Anyway, can we stop hating on people, please? Thank you.
No, exactly. But yeah, so all the Hayden stuff in Ahsoka was just amazing. That 5th episode, I think I just had a heart attack halfway through because I was like, I think in my reaction, I even said, this is too much. This is too good. Like, because I thought it was going to be like a little bit and then that's it. Like in Kenobi, we got a little bit and then it went back to the present day.
Yeah.
Bro, the whole episode was just Clone Wars.
Yeah.
And that, three different battles.
Yeah, that's like where, like, you know, I won't hate on Kenobi. I think the main problem with that show was kind of some budget issues, really. Like, but with this, it's like, you know, with the flashbacks, unlike Kenobi, they went all in. They were like, Dave was like, I'm going to serve the fans a little bit here, but also I'm going to make this a very crucial character moment for Anakin and Ahsoka. Like it was, I mean, it was people were, I heard people were like mad because they're like, oh, this episode's so fan servicey, and like, of course we got Clone Wars flashbacks, and I'm like, they're like, what did lesson did Ahsoka learn? And I'm like, guys, like, do you have like no media literacy whatsoever? Like, I'm like, it's very clear, like Ahsoka comes out of that a completely different person, you know?
Yep, you can see it in her face right away, like she's a different person.
Yeah, like, and it's just like, dude, like, that's not it's not fan service if it contributes to the grander arc of a character. You know, like that is when, you know, you can really balance just having like things that make the fans go, this is awesome. Like, we're getting Clone Wars and Siege of Mandalore and young Ahsoka and Anakin. Like, it's awesome. It's like, but then at the same time, it's equally as awesome because it's like the story being told in that episode is so good. Like, it's
so good, man.
And like when the payoff, just the emotion. I mean, I teared up when Hayden shows up at the end as Anakin. Like, that moment would not have hit as hard if that episode didn't happen, right?
Yeah.
Like, it would have been cool, but it's like knowing that just the same way that Ahsoka said, like, I'm not going to, like, Anakin didn't abandon me, I'm not going to abandon you. Like, we get it, it's tried and true. He doesn't abandon her. Not Anakin. Vader might have, but not Anakin, you know? And man, Dave Filoni, dude, just so good.
Man, he was cooking, like, and there were so many good things in the show. Like, I love Chopper. We didn't get enough of him, but everything with Chopper was great.
Yeah.
Hu Yang, this dude stole the show. And it's so funny because I happened to have been watching the Clone Wars episode he was in right before it started. Like, it just happened to be on and I was watching it. But Hu Yang, bro, I love David Tennant, period, from Doctor Who. But like, and he was in Jessica Jones too. He was the Kilgrave
Purple Man.
Yeah. So he's awesome, period. But like, him as Hu Yang, I loved every second of it, man.
He's honestly, like I said this on our podcast, he really has risen in the ranks as probably my favorite droid. I think I could only say that maybe rivaled by K2SO and R2D2.
Yeah.
And BD1, man. I love BD, but Huyang was like, like, I did not expect for us to get so much great Huyang content in this show, but like, David Tennant killed it, man. I'm so glad he's part of that little crew. Yeah, dude. The little, probably my favorite moment with Huyang is when he's walking with Jason and he's like, oh, have you ever seen like a Jedi starship? And he's like, oh, like, you know how to make a lightsaber? He's like, yes. He's like, can you teach me how to make one? He goes, no.
Oh, it was so good, man. And speaking of Jason, bro, I loved everything with Jason. The minute we saw him, his green hair, his little Kanan pauldron, and like, bro, they are planning something with him because this kid talked about, I want to be a Jedi. Can we make a lightsaber? Can you teach me? Way too many times. And I feel the one thing that we kind of got robbed of, and I don't know if we're going to see it, is at the end, it would have been awesome if he would have been walking off the ghost and saw Ezra, and just to see like Ezra's reaction, like, is that Kanan?
Like, he doesn't know. He doesn't know.
Yeah. So like, we need to see that first interaction with Ezra and Jason, and I want to see Hera tell Ezra, like, this is Kanan's son. Like, bro,
I'm absolutely, dude. I could not agree more. That's a great point. I hope we do get that, because I've said this kind of, I don't know if I've said this on the podcast before, but like, I don't know what they're planning with Jason. Yeah. I'm really worried because of the constraints that they have on the sequels. Like, here's the thing. I try not to be a sequel hater. They are not my favorite movies, but like, I try to just accept it and move on.
They're there. Yeah.
Yeah. And like, there's nothing I can do about it. Right. Like,
yeah.
But the biggest thing is, if I could change one thing about the sequels, is that I wish Luke's new Jedi Order would have succeeded, at least for a time. Because imagine Luke training Ben Solo, and Ezra training Jason, and Ahsoka training Sabine, and Cal Kestis training Kata, for like that, the new Jedi Order of like these awesome characters, and seeing their order grow. Like, that's personally one of my favorite things in Legends. I'm a big Jedi Academy fan, like the video game, and that was always the coolest thing, is seeing Luke like kind of rectify and fix the problems that the Jedi had when they fell, you know, the dogma of the Jedi Order. And it was like, so he like, you know, attachments weren't forbidden anymore. In fact, they were more encouraged, and there was more of an open training, and it was a much healthier organization. And I don't think we're ever going to get that with the new canon. And it sucks, because I'm like, dude, if Ben Solo kills Jason, I'm done, bro. Like, I'm like, please.
If he kills Jason, kills Grogu, kills everybody. Yeah, I don't know where they're going with it, man. I mean, technically it has to go that way, but then technically, like, if they go back to if they go to that other galaxy and they're just over there, because like, was Ahsoka there? Is she there this whole time during the sequels? Is that why she's not around? Is she gonna be trapped there? So I don't know, but I just want Ezra to train Jason so bad, because I could already see an episode, a moment where Ezra gives him the lightsaber that he built, which was with parts from his dad's lightsaber. Like, that's just so deep.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll see, but I think their plan is something with him. They gotta be, man. Don't it's freaking Kanan, bro.
Yeah, dude. Like, I'm slipping on the young actor who plays Jason, but he did a phenomenal job.
Oh yeah.
I was just, and genuinely one of my favorite moments of the show, like his innate ability in the Force, of being able to detect Ahsoka, like in the world between worlds, or the vision that she's having, whatever, however you want to view it, like, and being able to like be like, Mom, listen, and like then Hera is able to like hear it. I was like, dude, the Force theme plays, and I'm like, dude, this is Kanan's son, man. Like, I'm a big sucker of like just when the legacy of a character, right, and the passing on of legacy. I'm sentimental like that, and of course, Kanan being my favorite character, this means a lot to me. But it's like, dude, you can see like that is Kanan Jarrus's son right there. He's asking questions. He's enthusiastic. He's a little, like, you see when he's like walking out of the ship, he's kind of a little like nervous and shy.
Yeah.
That's Kanan, man. That's young Kanan right there. So we got to hope that Dave plans something cool for him. I don't know, dude.
I hope so. And like that one episode when he came off the ship, I called it. I'm like, bro, he is gonna sense Ahsoka somehow, some way. Because I like the whole time I'm like, they're not gonna find her body in the water. It has to be him. He's Force sensitive, and like even hearing Hu Yang say he is the son of Kanan Jarrus.
Yeah,
bro.
Carson's
like, yeah.
Okay. Like he's which was such a great moment, because it's like, yeah, like there's a lot of people who watch Ahsoka that I know did not watch Rebels. They may have watched Clone Wars, but they didn't watch Rebels, and so call to action, go watch Rebels. Like, it's a banger.
So that's the one, I don't want to say negative thing, but like for the normies that watch it that didn't watch Clone Wars or Rebels, it's not gonna hit you at all. Like a couple of my friends at work, they haven't finished or watched all of it. I gave them a list. I said, just watch the Mortis arc, just watch the Twilight of the Apprentice in Rebels, watch the World Between Worlds, and then watch the finale of Rebels, then go watch Ahsoka. You'll be fine. You'll have the basics right there. But like for those people, it wouldn't hit them as hard like them at the end with Baylan on the statues of the Mortis. That literally blew my mind. And I was so happy because with the finale, that was one of the main things I wanted, was what was calling to Baylan. And I had a feeling they weren't going to show us or leave it open-ended because he passed. Maybe they tweaked it. But confirming it's the freaking Mortis gods, like that blew me away. But for like regular people, like I've seen some people say like, who's that? What's that statue? I'm like, bro, like
they don't even know, dude.
They don't know the significance of like how big of a deal that is.
Yeah.
So
that kind of leads me, and you may have said this in the past, but genuinely, like, I just want your opinion on it. Like, seeing the statues and seeing that Balin, I don't know if people, I really haven't seen this circulating around, but he has a new cloak on, and on the left
He
side it's
does.
all black, and on the right side it's all light colors.
Yeah.
Which I find kind of, they did that very intentionally. But I want to say, like, do you think he's trying to get to Mortis? Do you think he's trying to become a Mortis god? Do you think it's something else? Like, what do you think?
I think he's trying to get to the Mortis gods because he feels that power calling to him, and he just wants that power, right? So I don't know, like I don't know if he's gonna like be the father now, because if anything, Anakin's there. Anakin's the freaking father, because literally in that sequence he went from light to dark back to light, like perfect balance. So, and in the Mortis arc episodes, in the Mortis arc episodes, the father wanted Anakin to replace him, but like with Balin, he sees that beacon, and I didn't catch that beacon until my second or third watch through, which is crazy.
Yeah,
and that was identical to Clone Wars when Anakin was on Mortis and he saw the beacon calling to him. I think and I hope that it's Abeloth. I didn't know a whole lot about her, but I've done a little research and I want to start reading the books. But like, I guess Abeloth is very evil and she calls to people, and it makes sense that Peridia could be the original Mortis planet. And then Abeloth went nuts. They locked her up and they dipped to another galaxy and made the Mortis planet on another galaxy.
That is, I like that idea. Like almost like they kind of like almost took a chunk out of Peridia and we're like, we're leaving her here. We're going. Because you're totally right. People have noticed that like that citadel, the beacon thing looks a lot like the kind of citadel kind of thing that's on Mortis. Was it you that shared that like that theory or that like kind of fan cast that it'd be crazy if they did Abeloth if she was played by Natalie Portman? Did you share that?
Oh no, I want to say somebody did say that though. I don't know if it was on my live show or I remember someone saying that. And like, bro, that would be wild because that would mess with Anakin bad.
Dude. Yeah, man.
My God.
Because even if it's like, not that Abeloth is just like Natalie Portman, but like if Abeloth could change forms, right? And like he's the father. I mean, she's the mother of Luke, but yeah, it's so funny. Everybody has really like kind of attached to this Abeloth theory. And I can't say like Cole was the first person to think of this theory, but like all the way back in our episode for episode 5, he was like, he really thought it was episode 6 when we first get to Peridia, he was all on board of like he thinks it's Abeloth, right?
Nice.
And so then but then I didn't hear anything else about it. And then 2 weeks later, when the Mortis gods did show up, everyone's like Abeloth, and I was
every thumbnail had Abeloth on it.
It would be crazy because Cole enlightened me on all of this, but basically like those Fate of the Jedi books were written like alongside the Mortis arc. Like they like went to Dave, and I was like, that is really cool. Like
there's a clip that Josh at Den of Nerds was playing, and they were interviewing the guys who wrote that book, and they were talking about how they were doing it simultaneously with Dave, and how they would say, okay, this is what we want to do with Abeloth. They would tell it to Dave, and Dave was like, yep, that would work. This is what I'm doing. And then he'd be like, okay, we'll keep that in. Can we do this? He would send that clip to Dave. Dave would be like, yeah, you could do that. That'll work. So they kept going back and forth, but Dave couldn't tell them everything because the Mortis episodes hadn't come out yet. So that's insane how they worked in sync. So
I think it just validates the theory that like, it's possible that like, I mean, if he brought in, there's a really good interview of him saying like, we're not going to just make something new for the sake of making something new. Like if it's already, we're going to try to adapt that. And so that's what they did with Thrawn. Right. And they got Timothy Zahn in that creative process, which I just like, I love that. Cause the EU is just such an awesome like era of Star Wars. Like it was really a big era for me of just like from the video games to the books to the comics and everything. Like so many people, their Star Wars was in kind of those periods of time where we didn't get movies, we didn't have TV shows, we just had all of this other stuff coming out, and to them like that's their Star Wars, right? And so when everything was wiped away from canon, it stung a little bit to be like, dude, like none of this is canon anymore. And slowly they've really started to kind of bring back in those old elements and even bring in adapt them to make them even better. But then there's also the cases where they've just ignored certain things and made it worse. But if Dave is the guy to bring in Abeloth, like if anyone is going to bring in Abeloth, it's Dave Filoni. So and dude, Abeloth is like the most. She is so overpowered, bro. Like it's like she is like genuinely like a force to be reckoned with. And this kind of goes back to our Jason conversation where I'm like, listen, like if the way to defeat her is like basically all the other Jedi get killed and it's just Luke left, like I would be okay with that if like they had to, because in Legends, Darth Krayt and Luke and all of the Sith and all of the Jedi had to team up to take out Abeloth, right? To lock her back up again. And I'm like, they had to make a truce and be like, listen, we got to work together. Like this, we are all going to die. And I think Cole told me that Luke, the dagger that killed, that the son uses.
Luke goes and gets that dagger, I heard, right?
Yep. Yeah, and he keeps that because he's so scared of Abeloth coming back. He keeps it forever, like in that, living in that fear of that. Which, so if that's the case, like that's the route they're doing, like this is such a wild out there theory. But imagine like, we get kind of the Thrawn conflict and then Abeloth comes out of nowhere, right? They've got to handle that. And then what if they lock her back up again, but maybe like, what if for the new Jedi Order movie with Rey, what if Abeloth comes back full circle and they have to like
see, that would be awesome, but I don't trust them to give us such a good, cool story with the Rey movie, especially the lady that's writing and directing the Rey movie, because she's like a big she's like a big female activist, right? Maybe she would like Abeloth being badass and being strong, but I don't think she knows. She doesn't know there's no way she knows the lore like that. So be like, let me bring this.
Is she writing or directing, or do we just direct?
I think she's the director or whatever, but she's only done like documentaries before. And I don't know a whole lot about her, but it doesn't leave me feeling in a positive place for the movie.
That's the thing, is like going back to what I said earlier, is like that this is a lot of the times like I don't know who she is, so I can't say anything negative or positive. I obviously am hoping for the best for this project, but like that's the thing with a lot of these Star Wars projects is I think they get really, they kind of scramble and they're like, oh yeah, we're gonna get this person and then we're gonna get this person, and then like it kind of falls, like they kind of fall on their face because it's like, with the Benioff and Weiss thing, Game of Thrones season 8, people did not like Game of Thrones season 8, and they're like, you got to get out. Ryan Johnson, listen, I love him as a director, but in terms of the Star Wars world, he just ain't for me. I'm sorry. And so like that thing dead, Taika Waititi, I like him, but like Thor Love and Thunder was not a big fan of. Like,
he dropped the ball, man.
So it's just they're like, oh, this person will be really good, and then like literally like a year later, they're like,
this dude too, James Mangold, like Logan was fire, but then Indiana Jones, I haven't even seen it yet, but I heard it bomb. Like
I will say, I'm a big indie fan. I liked Dial of Destiny. I'm
waiting for it to come on Disney Plus. I haven't seen it yet.
Okay. I think it's worth the watch. Of course, it does not compare to the Steven Spielberg films, but to me, I thought it was a good closure to his character. It's not the greatest movie in the world or anything, but I had a fun time with it. So I don't think it's that's the thing with these big characters and things like Star Wars and Marvel, these massive IPs, is there's so many people who have so many different opinions. And so it can be very easy for something to get dismantled very quickly, because of people's opinions and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, I'm optimistic about the Rey movie, but really what I need them to, I will be miles more optimistic if they come out and say, oh yeah, John Boyega is coming back and he's going to be a Jedi.
Yes. So when I heard the Rey movie, I'm like, I'll give them a chance, even though they've messed up a lot of the past. I'll give them a chance, but that's one thing. John Boyega needs to come back as a Jedi, and I kind of would like it even more if he turns Sith and he's fighting Rey. That would be sick, because there were rumors that what's his name? Idris Alba, that actor, that he was going to be a villain in there. And I thought that would have been crazy if he would have been like a Sith and he took John Boyega away from Rey. That would have been some crazy stuff. But
my wish, and it's not going to happen, it's just not. But like for me, for me, out of the sequels, and I think this is a pretty popular opinion, Kylo Ren was easily my favorite character in the sequels. And I'm a big Adam Driver fan as well. And if you follow me on Instagram at Schradester8, you can see a couple years back I dressed up as Kylo Ren for Halloween. But
Nice.
but yeah, like to me, I find it such a crime that Ben Solo died.
I know. What a waste.
Yeah, like I love that he was able to bring Rey back, but also I'm like, dude, are you kidding me? Like, and so my like wild out there theory that's never gonna happen is I'm I'm someone that like I don't really love like when they just like constantly bring characters back to life, you know?
Yeah.
And you know, you got to be really tricky with the world between worlds and stuff. But personally, I would love if the Force willed it to where Ben came back through the world between worlds.
Oh,
And he
okay.
comes back not as Kylo, but as Ben. And Rey wants to accept him back into the Order, but Finn is like, no, like we're not letting this guy into the Order. Like he
Yeah.
killed thousands of our friends. He wiped out entire planets. And
Yeah.
Ben is really seeking redemption. And Finn's like, listen, like I'm a Jet, but I'm not having him. You know, like I don't want him in here. And that kind of puts Rey at odds where she's trying to like kind of where her loyalties lie of like, does she want to try to help Ben or does she want to kind of to be like, no, like he has to go. And that kind of connects is like, what if you like Rey is like, no, like he's going to stay with us. He's going to help us rebuild the Jedi. And Finn's like, that simmers the darkness in him, right? Where he's like, I no. And like he turns and tries to like maybe kill Ben out of anger and revenge.
Damn.
That'll never happen. I don't know. But like, I just love those, like those characters. I'm not a Rey hater. I'm not a Finn hater. I'm not like, but those characters were so, they fell so flat and they were so underutilized. And that is the biggest crime to me is I was like, man, like, I think like I'd love these characters if we just got better writing with them, you know?
100%, bro. Especially Finn. Finn, a stormtrooper turned Jedi. That is so dope.
Dude. Have you seen the fan art of him as a Jedi where he has got like the long hair and like the
fire?
Dude, and John Boyega would be losing his mind because he's such a passionate Star Wars fan.
He is. And then I did a bunch of AI art of him as a Sith, and it looks sick, bro.
Really?
Yeah. So
I'm sure he would eat that up too, you know.
It just confuses me because like at London Celebration, I was at that panel when KK was on stage, and she brought out all three of the directors, the lady, Filoni, and then James Mangold. And like, bro, that moment though, when because she was like, I'm gonna introduce you to the directors of the next 3 movies. When I saw Dave walk out on stage, bro, I was so excited and happy. I was like, why is Dave there? Why is Dave there?
Yeah.
Like, so that moment was great. But then, like, if that's the order they're releasing, like, wouldn't you want to drop the Dave film first? Because that's a guaranteed home run versus the Rey movie. Like, we haven't had a movie right now in 4 years. By the time those come out, it's going to be 6, 7, 8 years. And you're going to lead off with Rey. Bro, they need
so
to
Rey's going to be the
up.
first one.
It was kind of like announced that way there. And then even after that, it kind of was like semi-confirmed that Rey was going to be early 2026. Filoni was going to be late 2026. And then James Mangold was 2027. And I was like, that's a lot. But then all the strikes happened. So, you know, everything went out the window.
Right. Yeah. If it were up to me, and granted, like, what do I know? But I would put the Rey film last, right?
Yeah.
And I would do Dave's and then James and then the Rey film.
Exactly.
And I would honestly like, I'd space those out a little bit, you know, like I'd give at least a full 2 years between movies because like it has been a while since we've gotten a Star Wars movie and I definitely miss like, you know, that excitement. But I'm like, I like, you know, I definitely think the every other year was kind of a bad move on Lucasfilm's part. So like to me, if it was like
it was every year. It was every year.
Oh, wait, yeah, you're right.
It was every year. 2015 through 2019, every year.
Yeah, to me, it's like I think it's got to be like one every 3 years. You know, you got to let that hype simmer and build up. And it's like, and then they made just like the stupidest mistake where they were like, yeah, we're gonna release Solo right next to Infinity War and Deadpool 2.
Yeah.
Oh, and also 6 months ago, our Star Wars movie everybody hated. So like, or at least most people hated. So I'm like, that was such a Oh, man, yeah. I think they've got to re-strategize. Like, for me, like I love kind of the just like the build up and the excitement towards Star Wars, and I really felt that with Ahsoka.
Oh
And
yeah.
just I was like, oh, this feels like it feels like it's been so long since we've gotten kind of like a big scale thing kind of like this. Kenobi was close, but I felt like I said, the budget was kind of lacking there for that show.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I think it'd be cool if like they kind of space those movies out a little bit, just so they can have more hands on deck, on
Yeah.
them. Like I think when you cram so much projects, whether that's TV shows or movies or whatever, in such little time, you're not letting it kind of reach its
Breathe.
full. It's not reaching its full potential. Like in my mind, I don't think Dave Filoni, like, that would be way too much work on him. He'd age like 40 years in the span of 10 years. But people were like, oh, he should direct everything. And I was like, dude, that man does not have time to direct everything.
Yeah.
But at the very least, like, if he's going to, I would love for him to kind of step in this new George Lucas role. Like, at the very least, let him be a producer on everything. Right.
Yep.
Like, and the big things, obviously he's got to write on. Like, in my opinion, I'm like, this might be a spicy take, but like I said earlier, I do like Rian Johnson, but I did not love his writing on The Last Jedi. To me, what I think would have been a banger dream team is for the sequel trilogy. Let's just pretend it didn't happen, right? Rian Johnson directs all three, but Dave Filoni writes all three.
Oh yeah, that's fine, because I like his other stuff. Because Rian Johnson did like Knives Out, The Glass Onion, bro. All those are amazing.
Yeah,
and Filoni's Filoni, like that would be fine. Because he wouldn't get to ruin Luke again.
Yeah.
So that
man.
Filoni writing anything is my dream.
Yeah, I think that would have been kind of the way to go. And I'm still of the belief that, like, if they had kind of at least, more of a guideline at the very least, like that, I think they should have started. The first movie they should have done was Rogue One. I know it would have been kind of experimental, but like, do you like Rogue One?
Bro, I love Rogue One. Rogue One is amazing, bro.
Okay. I know some people, I've recently ran into some people that like don't love Rogue One.
Why? What?
I don't know,
bro,
man.
That had arguably maybe one of the best Vader scenes ever.
It's so
like
good, man.
What?
Yeah, between that and Kenobi, I mean,
Vader
just a champ, bro. Yeah, and so I had to ask, I had to be sure. But yeah, like I think it would have been really interesting to be like, hey, we're gonna do this kind of, this one-off story. It's not I know people would be like, oh, why aren't they doing episode 7 first? But we're giving them some time to kind of work on the sequels a little bit.
Yeah,
and they would have come out hitting with like a really big bombastic kind of side story that connects right into, I mean, for the 40th anniversary of A New Hope, like why how they were able to destroy the Death Star. That's how I would have done it. But I'm also not an executive. I'm just a guy talking to a microphone about Star Wars. So like, what do I know? but yeah, that's man, we just covered a whole span of different things right there, man.
Bro, everything. Yeah. So that was kind of the last thing I wanted to talk about, was the future of Star Wars. We kind of talked about most of it, but like, it's just, man, like the future of the movies. The only thing I'm looking forward to is the Filoni movie, because I know for a fact it's gonna hit. The other two, I mean, we'll see. I'll give them a chance, but then it's just like with the shows, it's kind of like, and you mentioned earlier that Mando season 3 was not as good as Mando season 1 and 2. Like something happened behind the scenes, because there's no way Jon Favreau all of a sudden is going to drop that quality.
I really chalk it up to corporate meddling. It happens a lot. Personally, I feel like, this is just me, I could be wrong, but I feel like Dave and John wouldn't. The Mando and Grogu being reunited in Book of Boba Fett
too quick.
100% that was a Disney thing. There was no
for merch.
Yeah, like there was no freaking way that was a Dave and John decision, because
like,
especially like, let's take a parallel to that, right? Ahsoka and Anakin leaving. We didn't get Ahsoka for an entire season of Clone Wars, and that was what made their, like, and also we got, it got canceled for a temporary time. Like, that's what made that so worth it. So in my mind, I'm like, you do, and like you said, it was for Grogu merch. That's exactly what it was. But like in my mind, I'm like, let Boba Fett get his own show. Mando can pop up, sure, as a cool character, but don't throw Luke and Grogu and Ahsoka in there. Keep that like the kind of a contained underworld story. Then we get Mando season 3, and we let that be kind of the retaking of Mandalore story, and then season 4 is him and Grogu. I don't know. I think they just rushed it. And I think that's kind of the overall problem with a lot of projects is like, I think it's just corporate people getting involved and being like, we got to do it for the merch. Like, oh, this is popping off. We got to do it this way. Oh, we need to get the next movie out as quick as we can. Like, and that's just the sad reality of it. And I feel like if they just kind of let the creators do what they want. Like Cole and I were talking the other day, and this was not a Star Wars discussion, but we were talking about video games. We were talking about Xbox and Sony and Nintendo, and say what you will, whatever side you're on, Sony is the top dog when it comes to the best storytelling in video games, right? Like you've got things like The Last of Us and Uncharted and Horizon Zero Dawn and Forbidden West. You've got the Spider-Man games, just I mean, banger after banger. Ghost of Tsushima, like it keeps going, right? And it's because they don't rush the developers. They tell the developers, they announce the game, everyone gets hyped. I forgot the God of War games, bro. Like they let them cook with those games, and then they come out and they make millions and millions of dollars.
Yeah.
I think if Disney were to do that, not only with Star Wars, but with Marvel and everything, like if they just kind of let the creators, instead of making it this just like this machine where they're like, we got to pump out the next thing, people would be more satisfied,
100%.
And so, I don't want it, like you said, I don't want to be negative towards the future of those things, but it's like, it's hard to be like, when there's certain creators that you're like, is this the right fit for this? And we see like, just so much content is happening. Like, I'll be honest, I'm not real excited for Skeleton Crew. Like, I'm going to watch it, it's got some cool concepts in there, but I'm like, that's just something I'm not really interested to see. So I'm sorry, I feel like I cut you off on that whole rant.
No, you're good.
But yeah, that's kind of like like you said, with Mando season 3 and Book of Boba Fett, like the drop off on those shows, I completely blame like the corporate side of that, like I think Dave and John and all those creators were kind of strong armed into
and then Favreau even said as they were editing season 3 that he has season 4 written already. So I'm wondering if he has that written so quick. Is season 4 kind of what he had planned for season 3 that he wanted? Like, is season 4 kind of a combination that him and Dave were cooking together? Because like Dave was like, all right, this is how Ahsoka's gonna end. Guess what? Mando has to deal with Thrawn now. Because literally in Mando season 4, who's the big bad? Thrawn is back in the galaxy. It has to be Thrawn related. There has to be Thrawn tie-ins, or even an episode or two with Thrawn and the Ghost Crew. So
I definitely think you're right. Like season 4 was likely probably more of what they had in mind for season 3, maybe. And then like I don't know. Like I just think they kind of like had to like really condense everything that they wanted to do in one season, just so Cole, when we finished watching Mando season 3 months and months ago, he was like, yeah, it kind of feels like they just rushed that season so that they could make sure that Mando was available, like that he wasn't doing anything currently, so that when Thrawn comes back and Dave does his movie, like Mando is freed up again. And they were like, and I feel like Disney was like, you got to get him and Grogu back. Do it in that Boba Fett show. Who cares about Boba Fett? And I'm like, bro, Boba Fett is the OG, man. Like, why did he get shafted so hard?
I know he did, bro.
Tamora Morrison, I know he's been playing a lot of the clones, but I feel so bad for him. Like
he's underutilized, man.
Yeah, he was. Cole is the biggest Boba Fett defender in our podcast. Yeah, and he gets so mad talking about Book of Boba Fett because he was like, dude, Tamora Morrison literally said that he was supposed to be in Mando season 3, and they're like, yeah, we'll call you when we need you, and he just never got a call. Bro.
Yeah, man.
Come on.
Like, and like even in like Kenobi, bro, they should have brought back Cody. They brought back Cody in Bad Batch. They should have had him in live action.
Yeah.
Oh, so
that because wasn't that like one of the drafts was that like Cody and Obi-Wan were living together, like Cody had sought out
Cody.
that would have been really cool.
It would. He hunt down Kenobi to kind of like apologize and they like reconcile. Bro, that'd be so deep to see Ewan and Tamora. Oh
yeah, man.
Robbed, man. But
yeah,
I mean, I'm looking forward to Mando 4 because it has to be a banger. And if Mando 4 is like Mando season 3, bro, Mando's dropping on like the tier list because like it's just killing the quality. Because 1 and 2 were peak. Season 2 of Mando, bro, people forget how epic that was. First of all,
that was genuinely one of my like favorite moments in Star Wars history. Just like watching that show week to week, and when that finale dropped, bro,
there was so much in that season. You bring Boba Fett back from the dead in the first episode. The third episode, you get Bo-Katan live action. The fifth episode, you get Ahsoka live action. And then you get Luke freaking Skywalker. That version of Luke is what I expected in my mind in the sequels. Like when I was watching the sequels, that was the version of Luke that I saw. Badass, cutting everybody up, but he would have just been old.
Yeah.
So Mando season 2 was just peak. But like the thing with that finale, from there on out, it set our expectations way too high because every finale since then has not matched that at all. It's impossible.
Well, it's like same thing that I said with kind of like the episode 5 and Ahsoka thing is like I think they just have this ability to be able to do like these really cool, like awesome, whether like I wouldn't even call it, to me, I think the Luke thing, it is a cameo, but really like it serves the story. And I was like, I was so like I genuinely like shed a couple tears when like you see Din like crying, like like he's welling up, like he's really grown to love this child. And I was like, man, like I can't wait to see what the journey is going to be like with him in season 3, where like he's gonna
have him.
Yeah, like he's kind of back to like maybe he's reverting back to his old ways from season 1, where he's like I can bring you in warm, I can bring you in cold. Like he's the cold stone killer, the John Wick of I always was like viewed Mando as kind of like John Wick. Yeah. And I was like, and like he realizes like he need like Grogu was helping him, like humanized him, made him like the good guy that he was, and there's a hole in his heart from Grogu being gone. And we get like a fraction of that in Book of Boba Fett.
One episode.
Yeah. And I was, which is genuinely like, if that episode was in Mando, like, I mean, don't get me wrong. I was super hyped when that happened in Book of Boba Fett. Yeah. But then I was like, man, Boba Fett ain't even in this episode. All right. Like
the two best episodes of Book of Boba was the Mando episode and then the Luke and Ahsoka episode. That doesn't make sense. And I love Boba Fett.
Yeah. Man, so, it's like, it tells you something when the best episodes of the Boba Fett show don't even have Boba Fett in it.
I know. And like the Ahsoka Luke episode, bro, we were robbed because I thought in the Ahsoka show we would get this, but we never got to see Ahsoka meet Luke for the first time, and for Luke to realize this is my father's Padawan, and for Ahsoka to realize this is my master's son. Like that first moment would have been priceless. Because like on one of my podcasts, I think we mentioned that it probably would have been R2, because Ahsoka probably would have saw R2 with Luke, and then R2 would have recognized her right away, and that could have started the conversation.
Yeah, there's a really cool fan art, and it's like almost like they just kind of were like, yeah, this happened, but you don't get to see it, which I wish we did. But it's a fan art. They're like in the cockpit of the Millennium Falcon, and Leia and Luke are there with Ahsoka. Like it's the first time they've met Ahsoka, and she has a holocron of Anakin. She's showing them like, and they're just like, they just have this like amazement, and just also like this sense of like Luke, especially this sense of pride of like, man, that's who my father was. My father wasn't Darth Vader. My father was Anakin Skywalker. And like, it's like what happens when they show up in that show, it's like Ahsoka and Luke already know each other. And it's like, oh, okay. Like we're just gonna glance over that like crucial meeting of the Padawan and the son meet. Like what? I don't know.
And the moment though that she said, "You're so much like your father," that hit like a ton of bricks, bro. I was like, what?
Yeah, man. That is a golden moment. I maybe maybe Tales of the Jedi. I know it's not live action, but I could cope with it. That maybe there's a Tales of the Jedi episode with that's kind of centered around Luke, where we get to see.
Oh, that'd be cool.
And I think that would be the best way also to bring in Leia as well, as if they wanted to do like a Tales of the Jedi episode where like it's an older Ahsoka meeting Luke for the first time.
Yeah.
I even if it's an animation, I'd be okay with that, just so we can see it, because we just haven't seen it. Like, it's not in a book, it's not in a comic, it's not in a show. Like, come on, like that's such a and that, to me, that's not even like a fan service moment. That's genuinely like that's just good storytelling, man.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, like, doesn't feel, that's not a cameo or whatever. It's like we're getting to see two of the greatest characters in Star Wars finally meet over the commonality of Anakin Skywalker.
Yeah. So do you think we're gonna get, I mean, clearly we're gonna get an Ahsoka season 2. Like there should be no way that they don't. But do you think we're gonna get it before Filoni's movie, or do you think it's gonna be after, since he probably has already written his movie or has his game plan for it?
Yeah, that is a great question. I think you and Lainey addressed that a while back, and it was before the show wrapped, and I would have easily been like, yeah, Ahsoka season 2 has got to be after the movie. And I still think that, because I feel like it's kind of like two different branching paths in the story.
It is now.
Because you've got kind of the more like spiritual side with Ahsoka and Sabine and Balin and Shin kind of being on Peridia.
And Hu Yang, don't forget Hu Yang.
Huyang is there. That's right. For some reason I thought he was back in the main galaxy. So we've got a decent cast of characters there.
Yeah.
But then you've got Ezra and Luke and all of the other people in the main galaxy. So I guess probably it's got to be the movie still, though, right? Because like they announced that first, so wouldn't that? I don't know.
Yeah. So now I'm even more. I was already interested in the movie, but like, what if Ahsoka isn't even in the movie at all?
I don't think she will be, to be honest.
So then season 2 would have to be after, because if it's Ahsoka season 2, it would be about her technically. So maybe the movie ends like a cliffhanger or a post-credit scene where Ezra makes it back to Peridia.
Yes.
And then that'll like jump into the season
like
2. Maybe that'd be really cool.
He's like begging her, like, we have to go back, we have to get them or whatever. And it's like, Ezra knows that Thrawn is back. But to me, I'm now really excited, because I did not think this was going to happen at all. But like, I'm like, it's now. Are we going to see Ezra and Luke meet?
Right away. Yeah, right away. Yeah, they have to meet. They're the only two Jedis running around. Like, who are you gonna get to take Thrawn down? You have to get Luke and Leia.
Yeah, that's where I'm like, and I think at this point in the timeline, it's too far gone. But they could, they didn't really put any constraints on it. To me, I think it would be really cool. I kind of pitched this idea to Cole, where obviously we know that Leia trained with Luke for a little bit, right? And, ultimately, she decided she didn't want to be a Jedi. That's not the path that she went on. And I really like that, because like Leia is she's a leader, right? And I think she deserves her place in the Senate as a general. But obviously, she has that innate ability in her. I think it would be really interesting if it's like in the Heir to the Empire movie, it's Luke has taken on Leia as his Padawan, and so we've got Luke, Leia, and Ezra kind of as these main Jedi. But then the events of the Heir to the Empire movie is the reason why Leia stops her Jedi training. Is like, maybe she blames herself for not keeping the Senate in check and that letting this happen, right? Like, and so she's like, I can't do this anymore, Luke. Like, I have to go. I've got to go fight for our galaxy, right? Like, like I have to do more than just be a Jedi, and that could be. This would be a crazy thing, but this would make me like this moment even more. Is like, what if like that is maybe one of the last times that Luke and Leia see each other? Like, maybe that's kind of the beginning of Luke kind of going into that like spiral of like he gets pissed off because he's like, why would you abandon your training?
Yeah.
And so when he takes on Ben Solo as his Padawan, he's already kind of got like a little bit of like I don't like Ben, because he's mad at Leia for taking her training. I don't know. that may just make no sense at all timeline wise, but to me that could at least help me rationalize why Luke, like, kind of gives Ben the cold shoulder later on, and maybe is the direct reason why Kylo Ren is even born in the first place. Like why Ben turns into Kylo. I don't know. I think Clone Wars did a phenomenal job of kind of, for the people who were not a big fan of the prequels.
Oh yeah,
it helped bridge the gap of Anakin's fall, right?
And it enhanced it a
yes.
ton.
And so now I think that's what we're seeing right now is like, okay, a lot of people didn't like the sequels. So now it's up to Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau to explain these events in a 30-year gap where it's like, okay, maybe we'll start to see why Luke kind of starts to become a little bit more grumpy, or why even in Mando season 3, seeing the Imperial Shadow Council of like, oh, the First Order seeds are there. Like we got Hux's dad. And I love that stuff. Like when the Praetorian Guard showed up, like I won't lie, I was like, okay, that was sick. Like that
scene was badass, bro.
Yeah.
And that episode, they let us watch it at London Celebration.
Really?
3-4 days before it came out. So we were at Celebration and we knew Paz Vizsla died, but we had to like keep quiet because not everyone there saw it. So we saw that on the big screen. It was epic, bro. Epic.
Rest in peace, soldier. This is the way.
Yeah.
Oh, man. That was so. Did you have to stay quiet?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Because it was whoever went to the Lucasfilm showcase panel. John and Dave came out on stage and said, hey, if you guys want to come back tonight and watch that episode of Mando early, get your wristband when you leave. And it was only people in that panel that got to see it. Yeah. And of course we kept quiet because we didn't want to spoil it, because that was a big moment.
Yeah.
And like it was crazy. The next day I got the Paz Vizsla chase pin and I was like, oh my God, thank God I got this before everyone knows they're gonna want it afterwards. Dude. So it's crazy, man.
I don't know why, like I randomly just thought of like, because his son is named Ragnar, right?
Oh yeah.
I don't know why I'm like, I want to see, this is like a random thing. I want to see like another Mandalorian Jedi duo, and I want to see Jason Syndulla and Ragnar Vizsla like be bros. I don't know why. Like I just want to see like some, like to be like, hey, we gotta like maybe in the Mando movie when they rise up to fight against Thrawn, like Jason and Ragnar are like, kind of the two youngest ones in the fight. I don't know, but that's anyway.
Yeah.
I like, listen, this whole conversation's made me a lot more excited, at least for the future. I know.
Oh yeah.
Maybe none of this happens and we all look like clowns, but I mean, I'm still listen, there will be nothing that will stop my love of Star Wars. There will always be something that I love. And I think that's what's most important. Is I talked to some friends recently, and I can't get into all the details because I know we've been talking for a long time, but that they did not really, well, they did not love Ahsoka as much as I would say we did, or most people did. And now
that was crazy. There's a lot of people, and it boggles my mind.
Yeah, like it was really hard for me because I'm like sitting there like I'm not arguing, like I was basically arguing with them, not because I like disagreed with them, because I'm like, man, like I want you to enjoy this,
Yeah.
And I basically, like, at the end of the day, I was like, listen, like, if you don't like Ahsoka, that's okay. Like I'm not going to sit here like and be like, you've got to like, please like Ahsoka, that's up to you. But at the end of it, like I just kept seeing week to week to week, like they would send messages to me and it just felt like they were just sabotaging themselves. Like they were just like, I'm like, man, like if you love Star Wars so much, why do you hate Star Wars so much? Like, why is it like every week you have something to complain about? And I basically just had to be like, listen, like, if you keep doing this, you're going to get to the point where you just hate Star Wars. Like, and
did they watch Clone Wars and Rebels?
They did. Yeah. Yeah. Listen, I'll have to tell you about that a whole other day. But like it's just, they have everybody has very specific views on Star Wars. And I was like, listen, like, and I basically had to kind of like flip the logic on the head. And I was like, listen, when The Last Jedi came out, that was probably the first thing in Star Wars that I was like, oh man, I don't think I liked that. I walked into the theater and I was like, I was so used to just everything in Star Wars that I loved. whatever, if it was a book or a video game or a TV show. I was like, to me, it's like that like Mr. Incredible meme. It's like Star Wars is Star Wars, you know, right? Like, and I was like, that was what. So when I walked out of The Last Jedi, I was like, bro, like I kind of didn't like that, and so I had to kind of rationalize for a long time of like, is this going to make me like down in the dumps about Star Wars? And at the end of the day, I was like, no, like I'm not going to let this ruin my love of Star Wars. Like at the end of the day, I still love Star Wars. And so in a way, I was like, you know, I had to tell them like, listen, like you may not like this, but I at least implore you to at least try, you know, or do, I guess. Because like if you keep like with all these projects that are coming, if you just keep ragging and just hating on this, like you're going to get to the point where you just don't like Star Wars anymore, and that makes me sad. Like Star Wars is awesome, dude. Like I don't want to see someone who loves Star Wars just not love Star Wars anymore. And then I think they were pretty receptive to that. They were like, you know what, like, you know, I'm gonna like, I don't love everything in the show, but I feel optimistic now that you said that. And I was like, I think that should be the point, is we should be fighting for the love of Star, and rather than just like, you know, tearing it down all the time. So, but it broke my heart to see that they didn't like Ahsoka, you know?
There's so many people, and like, it got to the point where I'm like, I'm not even going to try to figure it out or ask why. If you didn't like it, cool. That sucks for you, because I haven't felt this happy and this satisfied for 7 weeks straight in years. The last time I felt this good was Mando season 2 and Tales of the Jedi that one Wednesday. Since then, I have not felt happy and excited in a long time. So
man,
I've seen a lot of people like our live after show after each episode that there are people that didn't like the Anakin episode. I was like, what?
Yeah, man.
Like, it's just Clone Wars.
Yeah. If that's your opinion, that's your opinion. But
cool,
like, there's clearly like, just try to think a little deeper, I guess. Like, I know that sounds passive aggressive. I promise you it's not. But like, genuinely, like, I'll be honest. When I watched that episode, I was like, that was a great episode. But what did Ahsoka learn? I was like, really trying to think. I was like, live or die. I was like, clearly that doesn't mean in like a literal sense. That means in a figurative sense, because Anakin's not going to just kill Ahsoka. And I'm like, so I'm sitting there, I'm like, man. And so I watched it, and then I watched a lot of videos, and I was like, dude, like once it clicked of like, you know, she needs to be able to like genuinely like live her life and live for her Padawan and be able to be the Jedi that she used to be, not what she's become, you know, living in fear of becoming maybe her master or failing her Padawan, like, and accepting that Anakin was a good master and she's going to follow in his footsteps despite his turn to the dark side. And I'm like, dude, that is amazing. But there's so many people that's all they saw it as. They only saw it as it's just Clone Wars, bro. Like, it just like, can we get back to the plot? And I'm like, dude, like Ahsoka had a crucial arc in that episode. So, I guess it's just up to the fan. It's just up to what you perceive, and that's it, I guess. But
yeah, man, so crazy, bro, so crazy, man.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's like, it's whatever to me. It's like I'm good, I'm happy, and I'm cannot wait for the next Dave project. Now, I think the next thing we're getting is Skeleton Crew, which you kind of mentioned. I remember we saw the trailer at London Celebration, and like it seems fine, it seems cool, like Stranger Things, a space vibe, whatever. But after Ahsoka, like this is hard to get that after Ahsoka.
Right.
Like we're hungry for like more lore, more story building from our favorite characters. Now, the one thing that could make Skeleton Crew a sleeper is if I don't think it does, but at one point people were saying that it takes place in that new galaxy, but in the trailer, it shows Bane from Mando season 3, that pirate guy. I think his name's Bane or Vane. He's in the movie, so there's no way it's from the trailer. The one pirate guy in Mando season 3 that survived and he escaped at the end.
Oh, that guy?
He's in Skeleton Crew. Yeah, spoilers. Okay. You'll see it in the trailer when it comes out. So
he was like the guy that was like,
he got scared and ran off.
Yeah. Oh, I did not know that. Wow.
So he's in there for sure. He was in the trailer. So when it releases, everyone will see it. So there's no way that this takes place in the galaxy. But there were also rumors that Ahsoka was making a cameo in it. So like, at first I was like, well, if it makes sense if they're in the other galaxy, Ahsoka could make a cameo. So the show
Yeah.
confuses me. I don't know what to expect. It might just be a bunch of nothing, but
Yeah.
it's
I
not gonna
I
satisfy us like Ahsoka.
I personally just kind of hope it just does its own thing and like rather and just doesn't connect to like Ahsoka and all of that stuff. Like if that
Yeah,
pirate guy's in it, cool.
he's
But
in it. Yeah,
yeah, but I'm like I'd rather just them like tell their own kind of, unique story rather than like other characters show up like um
it's during the Mandoverse though, so it's literally between Mando season 3 and season 4.
mm, mm. So do you think Din is going to show up in it then?
I don't
Maybe?
know. I see. I don't know what to expect with this show, and like
Yeah. Was
now
it
we have
also
to
the rumor
wait.
that like Jude Law's a Jedi or something?
Yeah, supposedly that he's a Jedi that survived Order
Okay.
66.
Classic.
I know. I mean, I wouldn't mind another Order 66 flashback. I love those things.
Yeah, I mean,
But
they're sick. Yeah, like I'm just the thing with like I'm kind of content with how many Jedi we have in the galaxy. It's just like it makes it tricky the more Jedi they add
here's
because then I'm
another
like,
one. Here's
yeah, because
another one.
because I'm like, okay, either this person's got to die or they got to be somewhere else, And I'm like, it's just another thing that they kind of have to figure out.
Yeah.
And I would not be bothered by it at all if I didn't know that Jedi or the Luke's Jedi Order was just wiped off the map. So I
Yeah.
don't know. It's the same kind of problem with like introducing more Jedi in between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope, where it's like, Kanan, we got this beautiful arc with him and it makes sense, right? And
Yep.
Ezra's like, okay, he went off the new galaxy. I was like, dude, Dave, awesome. But now we've got Cal Kestis, and I'm like, bro,
Where's
where's Cal
Kyle
Kestis?
at? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
And
like,
Marin.
yeah,
So
exactly.
in Mando season 4, like since if there's any Thrawn stuff, he's back at Dathomir. It seems
Yeah,
like they're repopulating Dathomir. Does Marin find out? Does Marin go home with her people? And Cal's like, no, why are you going there? Thrawn's there. Like, does
yeah,
that cause conflict? Do we get them in live action in the Mandoverse movie?
dude. I honestly, I'm pretty it would be cool. Don't get me wrong. I remember the theories of when Mando season 2 happened. They were like, "Ooh, like what Jedi is being called to? Is it Mace
Oh,
Windu? Is
is it
it,
Cal?
yeah? Is it
Is it
Cal?
Ezra?
Whatever."
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like, listen, like that's all cool, but personally, I think if we see Cal in this timeline, it then kind of I don't know, in a way for me, it lessens my excitement for the third game because then I kind of know what his outcome is going to
Oh,
be,
that he survives and he's
Yeah,
around
and then I'm
way
like, okay,
later.
yeah, exactly. I'm like, if he's out there in a Jedi, I'm like, oh, okay, then everything works out for him. I shouldn't be worried about the third game, right? Because I mean, Jedi Survivor was definitely a darker game than Fallen
Oh,
Order.
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and I loved that. And so now people are like, man, like, is Cal gonna fall to the dark side? Like, is he gonna die? Or is he just gonna stay on Tanalorr? I don't know. So, but I am completely certain that at some point we will see Cal Kestis in live action, without a
I
doubt.
I'd rather him come though earlier in the timeline where he's
Mhm.
younger. So
Yes.
like what if Jedi 3 comes out and then Ahsoka season 2 comes out since that's oh no, that's still late in this timeline.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean
The the only projects, like, I don't know what projects he could show up in. That's the thing. I think they'd have to like
Kenobi. Kenobi would have been one.
yeah, that's true. Because there was a whole list of Jedi names on that wall. Cal wasn't there, but obviously they tied the hidden path to Kenobi, which was a really
Yeah.
cool detail that I
Yeah.
loved. But, Quinlan was on there.
Bro, that
Rom Coda
Quinlan.
from The Force Unleashed was on there.
Yeah,
I
bro.
don't like there was a whole lot of people. So, I can't remember. The Survivor still takes place before
I think so.
Kenobi, right?
No, I think Survivor. It's somewhere around that same timeline. That's why people
Right.
thought he could pop up in there because it's
Mm,
around the same time.
yes,
So
that's right. Because I remember they were people like Cole and I were joking that like Darth Vader was just taking L after L because like he got his ass beat by Kenobi and then he got his ass beat by well, I mean, granted he did end up winning.
yeah,
Spoilers. I'm not gonna say 2 and out like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That he did end up killing Seer, but
yeah.
Seer laid the smackdown on Vader for a little
I know
bit.
she shouldn't have been able to do like that much
What?
damage to him, bro. That was a little OD. Like,
No,
come on.
I I gotta disagree. I think I'm a big fan of. To me, it's almost identical to when Kanan defeats the Grand Inquisitor.
Yeah.
Objectively in power, the Grand Inquisitor should be stronger than Kanan. But the overarching thing is a Jedi is able to reach their maximum potential when they no longer have any fear. And that's the
Yeah.
same thing as Seer says, like, the difference is I'm not afraid anymore. And Seer has reached her maximum potential as a Jedi.
Yeah.
Kanan, when he defeats the Grand Inquisitor, he's just like, I'm not afraid anymore. Like, and that allows him to fully reach his potential. Now, I will say she did go kind of sicko mode on Vader, but I think Vader went in thinking that like she was going to be as weak as she was in Fallen Order. And so he got like, and that's the Anakin kind of bleeding through, you know, a little bit.
Yeah.
But obviously, like, there was no way she was making it out of that fight, you know. And he still walked away triumphant. But I do find it funny that he kind of got beat up in like twice majorly in the same year.
Oh my God, yeah. I know. So crazy.
Like, dude, Vader is just punching his wall when he gets home. He's like, dude, I got beat by my old master again, and then I got beat by this chick. Come on now. But yeah.
Oh man.
I'm excited for everything, man. And you were there when Cameron said that they were working on the third game,
dude. So I wasn't recording at that point because at that point he the people in the crowd were just asking questions. So somebody went up and asked him, "What are you working on now?" Mm-hmm. And he's like, "Oh, right now the only thing I got going on is we're working on the third game." So like, yeah, I was literally sitting there when he said that, and like that, it was nice to hear that because like we all kind of knew and figured it, but hearing him say that, like he had to have been approved to say that because like that's a big deal. The third game,
yeah, and I think he can't talk about anything that he's working in live action wise because of the strikes and whatnot. He is part of SAG-AFTRA. So, but I mean, it's still, I mean, Jedi Fallen Order and Survivor are like two of EA's biggest games. So,
oh my gosh, so good.
It's and it was clearly setting up for a third game. So I'm very happy that there is a third game in production. That honestly might be, in terms of like the big Star Wars projects, is that game, and Respawn is also working on another game. They're working on a game that is actually heavily inspired by the Dark Forces games. So that being Dark Forces 1 and 2 and like Jedi Outcast and everything, which was more of like an art. Those games were kind of like a Doom style first person shooter.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I don't know if they're going to go full shooter with it, but of course, Respawn made the Titanfall games, which are some of my favorite shooters. Yeah. So if you take Titanfall and put it in Star Wars, hey man, I'm all in.
Nice. Oh, what was I about to say? I was about to say something about it was after Cal. Bro, I lost it.
It's okay, man.
I don't know if it was video game related or so the strike stuff. So once that's all situated, because who knows if it'll finish this year, the beginning of next year. Yep. I just hope that Star Wars and Lucasfilm, they get their shit together and come up with the plan and schedule and let us know. Cause like that's just the worst part, is just wondering what's going on. Like with Marvel, at least, I know I have Secret Wars coming up. I have Deadpool 3. I have Fantastic Four. I have an X-Men movie. So I have projects, even though they're years away, I know they're coming. With Star Wars, I just know the shows that we're getting, but the movies and all that stuff, like it's up in the air. So I just want some like something clear, and to not wait until Japan Celebration to let us know what's going on, because that next year and a half would suck.
Yeah, that's what I told Cole is once Ahsoka wrapped. I was like, listen, I think we're going to be in a little bit of a drought for a while, which is okay with me. I think that gets us excited for the next stuff. But like, I think it would be nice for like, at least by Japan. Like, I think they just really have to get kind of a they've got to still figure out what works for them, like, the movie every year didn't work. No. And like, the TV shows, like we've gotten a couple successes, but we've gotten a couple not so. Yeah. And so I think they really just have to find like the flow of like, how many animated seasons are we going to do a year? How many movies are we going to do every so year? How many live action shows are we going to do every year? And like, I think once they kind of get that down and they can really find their crew of creative people that they can really rely on. Like, of course, John and Dave are kind of their two most consistent people, but the people working on all the other projects, it's a very sporadic crew of people, which we really don't know whether their projects are going to take off or not. I mean, I'm extremely excited for the Acolyte. I saw the leak. Did you see the trailer for Acolyte?
Yeah, I was there. It's the trailer. The trailer for Acolyte had me just as hyped as the first trailer for Ahsoka.
Yeah, like it's the end of that trailer when they light up all their lightsaber. Yeah, dude.
Because like in my mind, I'm like, bro, 6 Jedi wouldn't ignite their lightsabers if there wasn't like 6 Sith across from them or something really, really bad. This show, it's a sleeper, even though the lady said a lot of dumb stuff about George in the prequels.
Yeah, don't be on George.
Whatever. Yeah. But I think the show is going to be a banger.
Yeah, I think I'm that's the one that I'm honestly, in terms of like shows and whatnot, I don't like that's probably the live action project I'm currently most excited for until we start to get more details on Dave's movie and stuff like that. Because right now we just don't know a whole lot. I'll be honest, I'm sad that it's ending, but I'm really excited for Bad Batch season 3.
So we got the trailer for that at Celebration 2.
Yeah,
it looks dark, like gritty, gloomy, and it looks like everyone's gonna die. The trailer looked, it looks good.
Great, can't wait. No, I honestly, I mean, I know that Wolf is in the trailer, right?
Yeah, bro, that was sick seeing Wolf.
Wolf is he's one of my favorites personally. So I think it's definitely going to kind of explain where we see the clones, especially Rex and Wolf and Gregor in Rebels.
Yeah.
But I'm like, dude, I mean, Tech alone, I was like, are you like just so like devastated? And so like, but like, I can't deal with another loss, man, but it's so good. Like I just, so I season 1 of Bad Batch, I liked, but I didn't love. I was just kind of like, there was a lot of kind of whatever happening. Season 2 felt like it had a good pace of like, okay, we get 2 episodes of like them kind of doing some more stuff in the galaxy, and then we get a banger Crosshair episode, right? And it felt like it actually was kind of going somewhere. There wasn't as much fluff, and even the things that were kind of filler, if you want to call them that, I still personally enjoyed a lot more than the filler that we had in season 1, because there was a good chunk of that.
What about even Fat Mace Windu on the island eating with the tsunami?
What? Oh, okay. that one was probably rough. That one was probably my least favorite, but that did at least, what I will say about that episode is that
Tech romance.
That I was about to say that like I mean, they were clearly setting up that Tech, like, because we didn't really get a whole lot of Tech and Echo in the first season, and then of course Echo leaves and Tech possibly dies. We don't know. I don't think he's dead personally.
Yeah, I don't think he is either. But Bad Batch season 2, like the episodes were either just like okay or like peak, like the stuff with the Zillow Beast, the episode with Mayday. I fell in love with his clone and they took him away in the same episode. Mayday, oh, he was so cool.
Yeah, that is D. Bradley Baker's favorite clone. He said,
really, Mayday. Wow. And then the stuff with Cody was crazy. The stuff with Rex, and they were on Braca from Fallen Order, which was crazy. So yeah, I'm excited for Bad Batch, and especially with it ending and they're at Mount Tantus, all the cloning stuff, the Palpatine stuff. So this last season's gonna be crazy.
I can't lie and say that I'm not excited for the whole Tantus stuff. To me, like that stuff is super interesting, bro. And I think obviously season 3 is kind of the last season of the show, so I'm hoping that we still they really have perfected the animation style in Clone Wars.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous
so
good.
Beautiful, man. And I'm really hoping that like once Bad Batch ends, that Tales of the Jedi is kind of what they kind of double down on. Even if that's like it's more of an anthology series. I'm hoping it's like, the animation team can move over to Tales of the Jedi and be like, all right, we're going to, instead of making a 6-episode season with only 2 characters, we're going to make a 12-episode season with 4 characters, right? Like, or even 15, like, sets of like 3 episodes per different Jedi in all different kinds of eras, whether it's High Republic or prequel or like original trilogy or in the Dark Times. Like, that's kind of what I want them to focus in on. Cause like we said back in the beginning, the Dooku episodes were so good, and just you can't just get rid of that, like that the animation style that they've crafted and worked so hard on. So good. Like,
so they need to just milk that. They need to do Tales of the Jedi, Tales of the Sith, Tales of the Bounty Hunter, Tales of the Clones, Tales of the Droids, Tales of the Hutts. They could do Tales of anything.
Weren't they working on wasn't it like a droid story? Did that get canceled?
Like a animated something, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it got like silently shelved. Like they didn't officially cancel it, but they announced it. What was that, 2019 or something? 2020?
Yeah, I remember that. I was like, dude, that's what it's, again, one of those projects that I was like, oh yeah, that got announced.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So
yeah, no, I think it'd be cool if like we did like a Tales of the Jedi and then kind of like like the ancient Sith, and we get like Revan and Exar Kun and Mark Aragnos and Darth Malik and Malgus, and like, dude, start bringing in Nihilus and Scion.
All
like,
that
come
stuff.
on,
There's
dude.
so much. It's like an open book test, and they don't want to cheat. You have all these books. Like you can make a show or movie about any of these books.
Plagueis, bro.
I'm literally, I was about to say, I'm about to start reading the Plagueis book because I haven't read it yet, and I heard it's amazing.
Yeah.
But like, there's so much you could do. Like, it's all there, and we already love it. We're gonna love it even more. Like, it blows my mind, man.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that. Plagueis is actually one of the books that we do plan on doing on our little book club thing. So
nice.
So I have not read it either, but I know a lot about it. But I've heard many people say, like, if you had to read one Star Wars book,
they always say Plagueis. They always say Plagueis.
Someone said it is like hard R Star Wars. Like, it is like gruesome. It is dark, but it sets up perfectly like what Palpatine is doing in
the Phantom Menace, right?
Yeah. Oh man, dude, I love the Phantom Menace so much. That's one of Cole and I are big Phantom Menace fans, and some of the little parallels we got in Ahsoka.
Dude, with like, Shin, it felt like Phantom Menace, like with Maul, like frame for frame, scene for scene, angle for angle, droid for bro.
Yeah, that was one of the coolest things, just like seeing her up on the hill with the droid, and I was like, dude, this is Dave Filoni showing George some love with the Phantom Menace stuff. Phantom Menace is so overhated. I'm sick of it, man.
Like, I love it, bro.
It's so good.
I remember I was 14 when it came out, so I saw it in theaters the day it came out, and it was just amazing. And I remember seeing the trailer on TV. That's why I fell in love with Darth Maul, seeing him in the trailer, like in '98 when the trailer dropped, and him igniting both sabers. And I was like, they can do that? Like, it just blew my mind.
Yeah, dude.
So I love the Phantom Menace, bro.
Dude, I can only imagine what the hype must have been like for people who had waited, God, man, well, I guess it would have been 16 years, which, oh man, in 2 years, Revenge of the Sith will be 20. But anyway, like, I can only imagine the levels of hype that people had. Like, I would have been on cloud 9 during the Phantom Menace days, dude. Like, I think you and Will collect a lot of like the old school, like Phantom Menace merch and stuff.
The best stuff is from '99. Everything Phantom Menace was the best merch, bro.
I love it. I've got a 1999 vintage Darth Maul Obi-Wan shirt that I got.
Nice.
And it is like one of my pride and joys. I'm like, dude, this shirt is sick. Yeah.
Damn. Awesome. All right. So that's pretty much all I have, because I think if we don't stop, we'll keep going all night.
Yeah, I was about to say, I got to apologize. I think, typically these run for maybe no more than an hour and a half, and I've just been talking and talking. So thanks for bearing with me, and thanks for talking with me.
Of course. So what do you have coming up next on your channel that the people could look forward to?
Yeah, so we actually, which we kind of got into it between you and I, but our next episode we're going to do just kind of our Ahsoka kind of retrospective, just kind of talking all about the show, which you've got a lot of my thoughts here already.
Yes.
But that's what we're going to kind of do, just kind of looking back on what we thought of the show as a whole. And then beyond that, man, we've got a whole list of of topics. I've got in our little Discord server that we have. I mean, I've got a massive list of just topics that we plan on talking about between, rankings and some of our favorite scenes and some of our favorite collectibles or stories and legends that we just love. Like, it's the list goes on and on. So there is no shortage of content here at Mortis FM, a Star Wars podcast. So,
awesome.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So definitely go check them out. The link will be down in the description for Mortis FM. Go subscribe today. But thanks again, man, for coming on. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
And that'll be it for this episode of Sith Talk. We'll see you guys next week.
May the force be with you.